The city of Dallas is a treasure trove of sensational homes, each embodying its own blend of style and Southern hospitality. With all the stunning residences we've seen, we're ranking 5 of our favorites, starting with a glamorous and layered estate, and ending with a traditional home that underwent serious renovations to reach its present beauty. Be sure to let us know your own favorite in the comments below. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. To shop items inspired by this and other Homeworthy episodes, be sure to check out the product links below for amazing furniture, accessories, and more. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Like and subscribe for more.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Courtney. Welcome to my Dallas home. Come on in. Hi, my name is Courtney Pettit, and I'm here in my home in Dallas, Texas, where I live with my husband and my 2 daughters, one of which just went to university, and the 4th grader who's now still home and gets a run of the house. I've dug actually quite a bit into the history, in part because the realtor, the listing agent, was a son-in-law of the previous owners. We were actually the 3rd owners of the home, and it was built in 1936. By George Marble, who worked with Charles Dilbeck, who's a famous architect here, a renowned architect in Dallas. We've lived here for 5 years. It's our 3rd home in Dallas and where we're going to be and settle forever. So this is our foyer, and it was a really tough space because it's dark. There's some Gothic windows there that you're gonna see, and they were covered in this fabulous red Fortuny fabric. But I wanted to really brighten this space up so that you could look out to the backyard and not feel so enclosed as you're coming in. So we put some antique mirror on the walls and some trim molding and millwork. I got some antique shell lights, and we had some lamps made from the lampshade shop in Dallas. There was carpet going up the stairs, and we just did a high gloss black and white to keep it really sort of clean and fresh and be able to accentuate the original staircase. I just put some simple prints up. They were drawn by Alessandra Branca's mom, who was an artist and just had phenomenal prints, had them framed and thought that they just looked really neat. This is another space that was really tough. It was just like a little inlet nook, and there was nothing that would really fit properly there. So I used Schumacher green velvet, and I thought it was just fun, and said, let's just do a little place to sit and put your shoes on or take your shoes off as you're coming in through the door. And it really helped to sort of brighten the space up quite a bit. And then just have some fun blue and white vases here, and just try to brighten it up a little bit. So the jars a lot, some I've just collected, some, I think that one is from my mom's house. I like to get things along the way. Like I got these great little, sort of these fun blue parrot birds from Mrs. Alice from London. And the mirror was from my mom. And I got this on Cherish. I wanted to get something just sort of bright, fun, that was an antique piece and could allow me to, that would, where you could see the light going through to the mirror. I have a real sort of love and passion for architectural detail, for trim molding, things like that. And I think it's important to keep with the element of the home to make it really comfortable and not have it be something that it's not. So you'll see a lot of traditional elements throughout, a lot of which were passed down from my mother, who is also very traditional and loved colors. That's sort of what I'm used to. I grew up in a room with wallpaper that had flowers all over it, with a blue and white trellis rug. So that's where I was saturated with flowers in my sleep when I was younger, and that's manifested and morphed into how I design and curate rooms today. So let's go now into the living room. This is the formal living room. And it was, again, it was a very dark room, and it was red, but it had all this fabulous millwork in it and original fireplace and these fantastic drapes, which are sort of hand brocaded. They were from the original owners, and I asked for them to be kept with the house. So I had them taken down, restored and cleaned, and really wanted to have that be the showpiece of the room, because they were just so gorgeous, like just with the birds and you can see the vines coming down. I thought they were just too good not to work around. So I asked my friend Shelly Johnstone Design. Shelly's from Lake Forest. She came down and helped me with some of the rooms, and this was one room that she helped me with. And she said, just go white, go simple, and let the room and everything speak for itself. So all we really did in here was we did some paint. We put a mirror above the fireplace to allow some light to come in to the living room. And I put up the clock was in my grandparents' house. It's something very important to me, is have a lot of elements from my grandparents or from my mother in the room. So again, I feel that sort of sense of comfort. And so in this room, I have a couple pieces, like this demi-lune piece. I actually got that piece. My friend Sam has a resale shop in Lake Forest, Illinois, and one of her friends had consigned these, and these were from, they sold at Sotheby's about 20 years ago, and I thought they worked perfectly in this space. And then we did the rest. Actually, the couch is from Trading Treasures as well. I love the shape of it and the color. I had a custom Gracie put behind, which was sort of there to replicate the theme of the vine with the drapery. And Shelly helped me with the chairs, and I actually, with the coffee table, I had that hand painted. It's turtle or tortoise, tortoise shell. I had that hand painted here by a fantastic painter in Dallas. So I actually bought the table, and it was really it was a hard room to find the right coffee table for. So I wanted to make it custom. And actually, one of my favorite things on the coffee tables, I love books. I love the color that they bring to a room. And there's a book on homes of the Park Cities in Dallas. And I had this book when I first moved to Dallas, and this was the house probably, I don't know, maybe 15 years before we bought it, when the book was put together, and you can see what the exterior of the home looked like. It had a bit of like a beige paint and a lot of ivy and a large tree there. So we did quite a lot to the outside on the exterior with some paint, and had to take the ivy down. But I remember when I went on my walk, I thought, oh my gosh, I think that's the house for the book. And then I'm like, it's so gorgeous, I have to have it. So that's the living room. We do spend time in here, actually. I know it probably looks like we don't, but because all the rooms flow here, and we walk through here every day to the sunroom, which is where we're gonna go to now. When I grew up, I was gonna be a teacher, and I have a master's in education, was a teacher for 2 years. So I moved up, went to New York and worked for Goldman Sachs for about 8 years, then moved to Chicago, and now I'm in Dallas. I work for a commercial real estate company that I love. I've been there the last 16 years. And I've grown this passion for design sort of on the side, really because of the moves that I've made in houses. That's really what sort of, kicked it off, was we had to move. And as a result of having to move or relocate, we had to redesign a house and redo a house. And that's really where it started. So I was able to get in contact with just local contractors, and the proximity that the design center has in Dallas to Highland Park, where we are right now. It's really fortuitous because it takes less than 5 minutes to drive there and maybe go pick something up. So I've been able to maintain my day job in corporate America at the commercial real estate firm, while also sort of dabbling on the side, which is my artsy side, or my passion, which is in decorating. The sunroom was formerly a patio that was enclosed by the previous owners, probably 40, 50 years ago. And so there was actually a wet bar right here. This was all closed off, and we really wanted to expand the backyard, or the side yard. So we put some brick up and wanted to bring some more light in. So we took a wet bar out, and for us, the light was more important than having the wet bar. And so we put a window in there and put in some custom trellis and millwork around the room, just to make it sort of light and bright. And we kept the brick, which you can see. We just painted the brick and put some sisal rugs down. And I've been, there's a lot of things in here. I love animals. I have monkey lamps that that I purchased at antique stores, or like the elephants that were in my parents' home growing up, or like the little frog. This chair I love, John Roselli, anything from him that he's procured. Actually, I think this area might be John Roselli as I look at the candlesticks and the table. So I've really liked to collect sort of light and airy things. And this fabric was a vintage fabric that I purchased, I think 50 yards. It was like $200 or something really, it's just sort of ridiculous. I wanted to work this room around the fabric. So there's always something that sort of I anchor to that is the driving force behind how I curate the rest of the room. And it's just fun. It reminds me of growing up. It reminds me of my room growing up. And you'll find a lot of people there, taking a snooze. These chairs back here, I actually, Shelly and I got them together when she came down on a Dallas trip, and we were in Scout Design, which is a store here in Dallas that has really fun, eclectic things. And then in the back, they have antiques. And so these were a set of chairs, antique chairs, and I loved the green and thought they would be fabulous in the sunroom, and just did a pink and white ticking stripe with it. Just sort of fun and whimsical. For some reason, I have a lot of mirrors, and my mother gave me a lot of mirrors and wanted me to have a lot of mirrors, and they're fabulous, and they were all gold, a lot of Chippendale ones, and I didn't have a place for them, and so I thought, I think I'm gonna paint them. So I don't know, my mother probably wouldn't be thrilled with me, but they have a purpose, they're great, and I think they look fabulous in the room. So we did them like a high gloss white, so that we could put them up in the room. I wanted, a sense of old. I didn't want to buy something new. I really wanted to incorporate old elements into the home and have a good mix of a new piece here and there, like the John Roselli chair, but then also incorporate antiques. So this room, there's a lot done in this room. I actually spend a lot of time in here. I'm usually at this room at 6 a.m. every morning doing calls. This is actually my desk. This is where I work. This is my father's desk from the house that I grew up in. It's a pine table that my mom actually got for him. I remember when she bought it, and I sit there every day and do calls, and it's typically dark, and then usually at 7:30 the light starts to shine in and the sun comes in, and it's just a great place to work. It's happy, it's bright. If I need to get outside, I open the side door. My daughter, oldest daughter, was a tennis player on the high school team. They win state every year, and so I had to give an ode to her, and I had like a fun Slim Aarons picture with a tennis player above it to just sort of make the room a little bit more casual, a little bit more fun. This is where I work. This is also where we play cards. So I actually designed the table and had my furniture maker here in Dallas make it. And I wanted to give an ode to my heritage, which is the Greek key. And in keeping with the room, I wanted to do like a green and white. We actually do play games here and use this table quite a bit. In COVID, it got a lot of use. And Mahjong is a game that's really big here in Dallas. And I have a Mahjong quartet, a group of ladies, and we play once a month right here with our, have our little drinks and get a view of the yard. So before we go out and take a look at the pool and the pool house that we built, I want to take you to the dining room, which is adjacent here to the sunroom. And as you walk in here, the first thing again that I wanted to sort of center the room around was the chandelier. So my mother had given me the chandelier, and it has gone with me, I think now through 5 houses, and it lives to tell. It's still living. So the chandelier is here, and the room, like the millwork you can see, and the built-in sort of with the shell, these were all here. They were painted a high gloss white, so Shelly helped me with this room, painted a high gloss white, and there is a phenomenal Fortuny fabric on the wall, which I would have loved to have kept. However, it was starting to fray from the sun in Dallas, and so that had to come off, and we put the same green Schumacher Rocky Velvet that you see in the front hallway is the green that we have on the walls here. I wanted to do a fun little trim just to make it sort of sweet here. With the Samuel & Sons trim and incorporate some of the blue and the white. It's a very traditional room in here. And so we wanted to, I wanted to bring something fun in here. My friend Alyssa was moving. She was going from one house in Lake Forest to another and had some things that she wanted to repurpose. And she said, do you need anything? And I said, I'm sure I'll have a space for it. And so this photograph, I believe it's the Maidstone Club in East Hampton, New York. Another thing that Shelley gave me the trick of was, not the trick, but it was, I had these dark walnut chairs. And in order to make it a little bit more light and a little bit more informal in what is a very formal dining room, we painted them a high gloss white. So you can see it just makes it a little bit fresher, not as sort of heavy, and a much lighter room. The mirror here, there's actually a fun story behind it. So there were 5 children from the previous owners, one of which, 2 of which actually I'm still in touch with, and one of which said that this was her grandmother's mirror from her grandmother's home around the street, and it was actually above the living room fireplace. And so we thought it would be great to put it up. She gave it to me after we moved in, and I said it has to go up on a wall because it sort of belongs to the house. And so this was the grandmother or the mother of the previous owners. This was her mirror, and we've got it up here in the dining room. So in this little nook, we put in some new windows to protect the walls from the Dallas sun. Got this sort of fun to antique table off of Cherish, and you can see it's filled sort of with blue and white and silver and white ceramics, which is a theme around the house. And the window treatments here, this is a Brunswick blue and white silk taffeta. And this green is Lisa Fine Fabrics, and Lisa is based here in Texas as well. The table is set. I'm having some guests over tonight, and I thought it'd be a good idea as I was showing all of you the house, as I'm getting ready for things, I like to be efficient. So as I'm getting flowers and things ready for the home, I thought I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So I've got three couple friends coming over tonight for a casual dinner. We're going to do a Greek dinner because these friends helped my daughter, who just went to University of Texas, get into her sorority, and I thought I would do a Greek-themed dinner for them. So that's what's on table for tonight. So when we moved to Dallas 9 years ago, we had 2 moves in Chicago, and so those were my guinea pigs, really. And then we moved to Dallas. We moved to a street called Fairfax, and we remodeled that home, and that was sort of my guinea pig in Dallas, I would say, and it was a lovely home. It's actually very similar to this one, but when we moved to Dallas from Chicago, I thought, it's really hot here, and I wanted a pool. So we were in that house for about 2 years, and I was on a walk, and around the corner saw a home that was for sale and thought, it looks good. And it had a pool, and it needed to be redone, and that was 2 ingredients that were, high on my list, or 2 needs that were high on my list, which was that the house have a pool and be ready for a renovation. And so we undertook that renovation, and we're in that house for about 2.5 years. I really was on another walk, that's the truth, and 3 blocks away on Arcady Avenue was this house that looked a little tired, but it was a beautiful home. It was actually in a coffee table book that I have on Highland Park. And I've always sort of loved the home, thought it was really beautiful, and it was for sale. And I called my husband, I said, this house blends everything I love, which has the pre-war sort of detail and charm, and needs a facelift, needs to be remodeled, and they're selling it for a lot of value, and I don't want it to be torn down. I want to save this one. It's too beautiful not to. And the rest is history. Right now we are in the entryway, and it was formerly the breakfast room. It was painted yellow and had this fabulous Pierre du, for those of you that know Pierre du, which is now Soleado, fabric here. And this was used as the breakfast room. And when I came into the house and I opened up these cabinets and saw these shelves, I thought, oh my God, this is amazing. It's going to hold all of these things that have been passed down to me or that I really like to collect. So this is just a little sampling of what I have in terms of my china and glassware and sort of pots and wedges and things to collect and hold flowers. But I knew I had to have the house because this little room, which was the breakfast nook, which I turned into the entryway and sort of passageway to the backyard, it had all the space for all of my china. Where I keep my favorite china and plates is back here. And for some reason it keeps growing. And my husband always says, you're going to have the best estate sale someday. So he says, keep buying for it if that's what you need to do. So plates that I love, like from Penny Morrison, I got these at auction. These I got when I was at school in Charlottesville, at the University of Virginia, at an antique store. These were, wedding, my Heron sets, the Queen Victoria and the Rothschild bird. So I love collecting china, and so this is probably my favorite one, and I will use this every day as well, because I think all these beautiful things should be used as much as possible. And when they're easily accessible like this, I can just grab them and pull them out. So one of my favorites is this pink and green sort of charger plate that I use as a brunch plate that I actually purchased at Palm Beach Regency. I saw them and I said, I have to have them. And the owner said, nope, sorry, they're sold. And she called me back 2 months later and said, the person never came to pick it up. They've been calling. And eventually the person said, I don't want them. So she refunded her and she called me and I said, please overnight them to me. I'm going to use them the next day. So they're a lot of fun, whimsical, and they remind me of my girls with the pink. This is another fun set. So I like to go to auctions quite a bit, or buy at auctions now online. And this set right here, they are dessert plates. They were actually sold at Christie's, and they were from the Cox estate. And the Cox family, they lived actually 4 blocks away from the house. And I knew that they were going to be, sort of really pretty. And when I saw them, I said, how neat to sort of have a piece of that estate or that home. And I just thought they were just fun and whimsical, and I could put them with any other set. All right, so this is another fun area where my oldest daughter always wanted me to collect teacups. She likes to have, or did like to have tea parties. And so we've collected them up here and have different ones. And we will do tea parties sometimes for Valentine's Day, have mother-daughter teas, and we'll put them out. This is also where I like to pull the salt and pepper shakers from. I've got some old ones here, some green and white, just sort of preppy frogs. And you can see the compare. And some more sophisticated swans. And then I was watching, Bunny Williams has this fabulous collection with Ballard. And so I'll have very high-end things and then get something from Ballard. We just got a dog this year, my first dog ever. And I said, I have to have this. I just thought it was darling. And for the price point, just too good not to have. So this is where the salt and pepper shakers sit, any condiment jars, baccarat. If we're doing mini ice creams, we'll put them in here, and just select bowls and where we keep the crystal pitchers. I'm ready for anything at any time. It's easily accessible, and I'm using it because it is easily accessible and I can see it. So that was important to me. Wherever I was going to be, it had to have space where I could see something, because if you can see it, then you will use it. If it's wrapped up and safe, you tend not to use it. And these things are so fun. They're pretty. Just want to use them every day. There's one last thing I want to show you, which is really whimsical. And there's a restaurant in Aspen called Batula that actually has these glasses, and I thought they were darling, so I wanted to have them. I don't know if you can see them well because they're glass, but they're a little bird. And what we'll do is use them sometimes for brunch. We'll put something bright in there, like pink lemonade or orange juice, and you put a little straw in and you put that on the table, and it's just darling. So I like to have new things like this and mix them with very traditional things, like sort of my grandmother's etched crystal glasses, or new ones that I registered for, or these old Tiffany ones that I had on my wedding registry. But I like to mix old and new, and these really make for a fun conversation piece at the table. So now that you've seen the former breakfast room, which is now the entryway, I'm going to take you to the den. What's my favorite thing about this home? Probably when you look at it on the street, it looks sort of large and commanding, but when you come in, it's truly a home. There's no big rooms. As we were remodeling, we wanted to ensure we were really keeping with the architecture of the home. So we looked at doing the open kitchen and wanting to the family room, and it wouldn't work for this house. It's a series of rooms. It's a bit clunky. It has steps up and steps down, and it has 2 stairways that are right next to each other to go up to the second story. the house, I probably have to say the charm and the love and just sort of the beauty that's with it, but that it has the size, but I can still yell for my kids and they hear me. So this is the den where we really spend a lot of our time. It's a fun room, it's cozy. We had all these built-ins in here and painted the room green to make it fresh. It was a dark red. It's a Benjamin Moore artichoke is the color. We kept the original sort of Delft tile that was on here that's blue and white. It was just charming and I thought it's so gorgeous and lovely. Why change it? You can see the Chicago brick that's at the fireplace, which you'll see at the fireplace upstairs in the master bedroom as well, that we wanted to keep and make part of the room. We put in a lot of lighting, so we put in actually a fairly new sort of modern looking lighting, and did that because the house is so traditional. I wanted to infuse some modernity into the room. We put in the sconces that you can see here and the portrait lights that you can see, just to again make it feel like a bit like a cozy study library. The couch again was another friend from another gift from my friend Alyssa. She sent it down, and it's the gift that keeps on giving. It's a fabulous couch. It's comfortable. It's chocolate velvet. Ruthie Summers had decorated her house, and I believe she worked on it. And so I've been able to now we've been able to repurpose it from Lake Forest down to Dallas. You can tell I like pattern and color. You see the Lisa Fine green that you saw in the dining room here, and just some fun, quadrille that's incorporated in here. I wanted to get some lavender in here, some chocolate browns, and some greens, obviously, to make it sort of fun and whimsical, which is a very traditional room. The lampshade shop was really part of the venture with the renovation and with the decorating in this home. And so you'll see this ticking stripe here with a green little velvet trim and pinch pleat on the shades. I think that the attention to detail just makes it a little cozier. I like to make the rooms really comfortable. Eliza, we live in a neighborhood where the houses are very close together, and my youngest daughter, who's in 4th grade, has friends that live down the street. There are 7 children, and she's friends with the tail end of them, like the youngest 3. They're over a lot, so I like to keep treats out and just sugar out for them to come in and feel comfortable with. So I'll always have M&Ms out, usually in multiple rooms, just so that they can grab it as you're hanging out in here having fun and playing. I want the home to be very inviting. I want children to be very comfortable here. I like the kids to hang out. I feel more comfortable when my children have their friends here. And I just feel like it fills the house with energy and love and warmth. So you'll always see some candy and sugar hanging out in the house, in every room usually. So now that we're gonna leave the den and go into the kitchen, and to get there, we're gonna go through the back hallway, which is really an extension of the den. There were these built-in bookcases similar to the ones that you see in the den, so we painted them green and brought in the same fabric to really make the back hallway feel like it was an extension of the den, and had this fun print from Paul Lang. I wanted to incorporate some fun, like modern, sort of whimsical art against in a very traditional home. In order to get some more light in the back hallway, what we did is put in a mirror in here, and so you'll see lots of places around the house where we actually put in a mirror. And then in the living room where you saw the clock, the sun clock that was on the mirror, I wanted to balance that out again here and do, I got this mirror from an antique dealer in Atlanta and thought it was just really fun, give it some dimension, give it some more light. A little reading nook here. My daughter will sometimes hang out here and draw, and it just became this back hallway that turned into a nook, an extension of the den. So we're almost there in the kitchen, but before we get there, I wanted to show you the bar area. So we put in a bar here. It was actually a desk, and thought it would be really fun. Again, you see the use of the antique mirror, and you'll see that the same sort of the same hardware and cabinetry that the kitchen has. We wanted to bring the kitchen out to here, but also this is another entertaining space for us where it's easy, to grab glasses and give friends, have drinks and whatever you want to do. I've got some glasses that were my grandmother's, silver you can see everywhere. And then for cocktails, again, I'm not big on paper. I actually like to use cloth things, and these are actually some cloth cocktail napkins that were my mom's, and just some fun vintage fabric that was trimmed with some rickrack. So they're sweet and they're fun and great in the summer or anytime here in Dallas, because it's usually summer in Dallas, 9 months a year. And then in here, another little treat. This is the pantry. So this is where we keep our food, but we keep it well hidden. So actually all this is, we repainted it. So we just repainted this space. It was here, it was existing, and put the hardware in, and put a piece of, just put a piece of marble on top of the space. But it's another place where I like to keep my everyday plates. And again, I think it's important to show things if you have them. And I love plates, and I think they can become a part of the decoration of the home. I always think there's going to be room for more plates because you can stack them. And things that are stackable, they're compact. So I always think there's room for more plates. And I also look at it, I have 2 daughters. I have one who's in college now, and I know they're going to be in apartments at some point. So they're going to need it. And so they will start to get sets of things when they start to live on their own as well. So I know they will have a purpose. So now we're in the kitchen. It's actually not a large kitchen for the size of the house. And it ended right here. So it was actually a very tight kitchen that used to, when we bought the house, they had a butcher block that was in the center of the kitchen. And we thought we really need to, just sort of modernize it, bring it to today's living, and wanted to make it traditional, balanced. We didn't want to create a huge kitchen or have a big island. There actually isn't room for an island in this space. And so what we did is just pushed the room out about 10 feet and took some of the yard space and put in some windows so that we could get some really great views of the backyard. So I put in a built-in bench to sit on, which hopefully doesn't obstruct the eye to the backyard. And this is where we hang, this is where we eat. We enjoy the backyard space. It's pretty simple in here, white. I wanted to have the marble go all the way up, so it was really a clean line. And I love these ovens that I have. The one I have here, this is the 3rd one I've actually used. I just think it's a great look. It's really fun. It's almost like a piece of jewelry for the kitchen. And it's just a pretty thing. And it's probably my favorite piece. So the kitchen was built around the stove. I did the decorating around the stove here. So this is our kitchen, really simple. And the appliance that gets the most use is the coffee maker. I don't drink coffee. But my husband probably has, 6 cups a day, something like that. So gets used a lot. This is what I like to call the little bathroom under the stairs. It's a charming little bathroom with great architectural components and a slanted ceiling. The previous owners, again, it was red, and they had a fabulous red toile skirt for the sink. And so we just redid this and put a new white marble countertop on, some different hardware, and then put a sweet little, there's a frog on a lily pad in the sink so that the water doesn't splash up too much because it's a small little space. Shelly helped me with picking out the Schumacher wallpaper and material and fabric in here, which I think is really fun. You can see it's the original window, and there's a large mirror in here to make the space feel larger, and a cute, sweet little light treatment from a store here in Dallas, Caitlin Wilson. And I thought this was a fun, whimsical light, and it's just a cute, charming little bathroom. So now I want to go upstairs and show you our bedroom. So before we head into our bedroom, I wanted to show you my dressing room. I took over a bedroom and converted it into a dressing room. This was something I wanted as my sanctuary, so when I wanted to relax, and again, I'm big on being able to see things, and when you can see things, you use them. So we designed this space. We wanted it, again, to be bright, light, airy, and you can see the use of mirror and some architectural details to really make it fun and light. There's just one sort of chaise lounge in here, a simple table. It's really all it needs. I'd like to say that I lounge in here, but I don't. I'm never lounging. But this chaise lounge ends up being a place to throw my clothes, to be honest with you. So I travel a lot for work, and I like to take in details and elements and style where I'm traveling. I'm always have my eyes open. And even hotel rooms. So I'll stay at the Bristol Hotel, sometimes in France, and they had these fabulous closets in the room. And rather than having a walk-in closet, they just had these as part of the room. And it really is a nice way to elevate the room without having an icky looking closet. And I wanted to replicate that in my space. So you don't see any clothes. They're all hidden. They can't get dusty. So it really looks like a room, but it's actually the dressing room and where all my clothes are. And one of my favorite little spots, and this was a little nook that comes out because of the other side, we shortened it. And of course, that's where I have some of my shoes, and I may have a shoe problem. Again, I like to collect things. I like to collect pretty things and wear pretty things. And I know if I see them, then I'll use them. So now you are in our bedroom, and it's a place obviously where we sleep and relax. We're lucky that it has a fabulous fireplace. You can see the Chicago brick that was in the den. This room was actually, for the original owners, it was a playroom. So this was a playroom. There's a fireplace. It was a place where the children would play. There was actually a closet in the corner that connected to the other room. We sealed that up. There was a closet, a little jib door where the alcohol was kept, where I think people were having fun. So we decided to seal that off so that we could cover the walls. It's a fun room. We've put some mirrors in here to make the room brighter. And it's a space where really the ceiling is everything. So it's just a very bright, open, airy feel. What was a playroom, we turned into a master bedroom. The light fixture, I really struggled to find a light that would work for this room in this space with the scale. And I was lucky to find, I went to a resale shop here in Dallas called Genesis Women's Shelter, and that was sitting there, and I think it was $95. And I thought it was just the right size, scale. It was perfect for the house. So again, everything doesn't have to be high end. You can get things from resale shops. You can take things from parents or things that are passed down, get some new things. There's lots of fun things that just give it a lot of dimension and feel. The fabric is a Pierre Fray, and try to keep it consistent throughout the room. So this is my 4th grade daughter's room, and she was too young to be able to decorate it when we moved in. I worked with Shelly on this room, and we decided we wanted to make it really sweet. And so we picked out a fabric from Benison in New York, and we actually we put it on the walls, and it's upholstered. So they're upholstered sort of cushy walls. I just thought it was just a really pretty, sweet print that can stay with somebody at a very young age, but also could be a very pretty guest bedroom. And so we made the canopy bed for her so that she was, feel very sort of cozy in here. And some of the architectural elements you can see here. There's a slanted sort of wall behind that we hid with the bed. We've got some really sweet prints from Inslee that I actually just had framed and put on the walls. So again, there's details that come together over years and years, and I just thought they were fabulous looking and are really a stunner. Again, just a simple sisal rug on the floor, and because it really doesn't need more. When you have these walls, you want to keep it very simple. She has a pine chest of drawers that were mine growing up, and antique mirror. There's an armoire here that she just throws stuff in that was in my sister's room growing up. So again, I like to incorporate things that are from my house growing up, but then also get like a little table like that to make it a little bit more casual, give her a reading area, and make it a little bit fun and young for her. So this is my older daughter's bedroom, and I'll be honest, I'm starting to come in here when somebody snores because I love this room. I feel like I'm sleeping on a sofa. So again, you're going to see more cushy walls. There's fabric on the walls. It's a fabulous Schumacher print, and simple sisal rug. Shelly helped me with this room as well. I've had this little chair for a long time, just got some blue and white buffalo check. I love old chairs, and you can always reupholster them and change the look of a room. A mirror that was in my grandmother's house. I actually just got this chest for the room because we did have a bungalow 5 one, which was fabulous, but it was a little bit modern. And I saw this and I thought it was the sweetest thing, and it could hold the world. It was a better size for the wall, better scale. So I got that at an antique dealer here in Dallas. So I'm always sort of on the hunt, looking for things. That's my hobby. You can see again for my older daughter, the canopy bed again. It's really cozy. This became a place of great comfort during COVID. This room has seen, just a lot of usage during COVID and with the teenager. And she's actually lucky enough because she has a dressing room that's attached with this bedroom as well. And we kept a lot of the original elements like a 70s mirror, which I want to show you as well. So my older daughter got lucky in that this was the former master dressing room and bath, and she annexed it as part of her room. So it's this is all the original closets and hardware from the previous owners, and even the dressing table. We just put a new piece of marble on it, and you can see this fabulous mirror that's like a Hollywood style mirror. And I thought it has to be kept. It's just too good. And she loves it, and she has spent a lot of time here doing makeup and having fun. And my younger daughter now, I find, is in here quite a bit, coming in to take things or use the space or take t-shirts or things that were not taken to college. But just great drawer space. All these were built in, made for the previous owners. There's 4 large closets that go to the bathroom. And I told my daughter, unfortunately, you're only going to go downhill from here. So you're probably going to be, you're going to a college dorm, which is, smaller than the size of this room. But she's doing just fine, and everyone adapts to the space that they have. So this is a solarium. It was formerly a garden room where it had sprinklers, and we converted it because it really did not make sense, and I don't have a green thumb. And we thought, let's use this space for entertaining, for eating, for playing cards. We use it. It has actually a lot of purposes. It was actually mini school during COVID for my second grader at the time, and we had 6 girls in here with a teacher, and we were running school here. So it's a great space. There's a fabulous Julie Neal light, white plaster light, and we've got, you can just see it gives you like a great view to the yard. And we really did the landscaping around this room in particular. Oh, the dog that you just saw, that's Louie, the first dog I've had in my life. And this is actually his room probably. He sleeps out here. He really likes it out here. This is a dog bed, which is fabulous. It's actually it's an India Amory print that she works with a friend who makes these fabulous baskets, and I thought it was cute. And he hangs here and likes to sleep here. The fountain was here, the line fountain, so we kept that. We painted everything white. Just wanted to really clean it up, freshen it. There's a planting area over there, and we actually kept it. So that was the original planting area, and I just put a lot of the blue and white vases and everything and tucked it away there. It actually becomes a great buffet when we have dinner parties or if we have any luncheons in here. We did some black and white marble on the floor to dress it up. And there's a lot of usages for this room, and it's probably one of our favorites in the house because it's just so bright, it's cheerful, and it's a great passageway to go in the morning to the garage. We're also outside to the pool, which is where we'll go right now. We'll talk about the pool and how we redesigned the backyard. We completely scraped it and also put in a pool house. So now we're in the backyard. We completely scraped the space. There was a winding pool, and I wanted to have a rectangle pool. And the landscape architect that we worked with, he actually recommended that, in an ode to my heritage, we do Greek tile around the pool. So we've got the Greek tile there, which is fun. We just did in Texas, you really can't do a lot with a lot of different plants. Boxwoods actually work really well. They're hardy, they can take the heat, they can also withstand the cold. So you see a lot of boxwoods, and we just really made it a green space and used the Chicago brick that you can see to tie it into the fireplaces. We made an eating area. We do like to grill, we do like to entertain. So we put in an eating area and a grill area, and got some table and chairs that were vintage in Florida. And so again, just wanted to make it like a bright, cheerful, inviting space where we could entertain and people could feel comfortable. Then we added on the pool house, and we're really thoughtful and wanted to make sure that the brick was matched the original home. You can see there's some of the Greek detailing, Greek key detailing that's in the framework of the original home. And you can see up here with the curtain treatments, the Greek key pattern as well. So in the pool house, we just wanted it to be light, airy, and an opportunity to be able to watch people in the pool, but also a place to get away from the sun. So we made this covered space and really made it just another outdoor living space. So again, you can see the mirror. I used like an old Chippendale mirror, painted it a high gloss white because it was the right scale for the room. These chairs, I actually keep them out here for most of the year because it's year round, and it has like a faux sort of like ostrich pink detailing. These were in my mom's house, so wanted to make that part of the room, and then went down and got a vintage set of furniture from one of my favorite stores down there, Palm Beach Regency, painted like Fix and Read, painted it all a high gloss white to really make it young, fun, fresh, and give it an old feel so it matched the feel and the age of the home. We put in a little bar just to make it fun, and again, like to have multiple entertaining areas. So we put a bar out here so we could entertain, have a fridge, drinks for the kids because they need it because it's warm. Home means comfort, relaxation, my children, and being surrounded by things that I grew up with that remind me of my mother, my family, and my upbringing. And that gives me comfort. So being around those things that were passed down from my grandmother to my mother to me with my children around, that's what home means to me. That gives me comfort.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Teddy. Welcome to my Dallas home.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Like and subscribe for more.
Hi, I'm Teddy Garrigan, and we are in my home in Dallas, Texas. First and foremost, I am a family person. My husband and I have been married a long time, and we're 47 years. And my daughter and my son, we're a close family, and we're a tiny family. We're very small. But so I would say I'm a family person first, but I'm also a businesswoman. And Courtney and I own a store together that was her idea. And we've had this store for 10 years, Coco and Dash in Dallas. And it is a luxury retail decorating store. We work with designers all over the country. Because of the way I was raised and the way I was brought up, I'm drawn to a mix of really a mix of European and very Southern aesthetic, where it's all based on hospitality and family and actually living in your home. I'm not a minimalist, but there are times that I'll put something on a table and then decide, you know what, that's too much. I'm going to take something off for a while. And I do rotate my things out, but I would say definitely I am traditionalist, but I do like little bumps of quirky, contemporary pieces when it fits my mood, and that's when I change things out. Loved it. My childhood to me is very technicolor. We moved to Europe when I was 6 for the first time, and we lived there, and we were exposed to a lot of wonderful architecture and design from, past centuries, and I just absorbed all of that, and I was interested mostly in the architecture. I loved it. We lived in an old building, and I can remember the stairs were marble and they were rubbed from hundreds of years of people going up and down the stairs, but it was always very enticing to me. And my aunt, who I'm my namesake aunt, was also very interested in design, and she had a beautiful home in East Texas. And so when I would go to her house, I absorbed what she did, and she was very much hands-on. I mean, she did her own upholstery sometimes. She was very involved. So between her impression on me and the exposure my parents gave us to the way the rest of the world lives was really instrumental in my love of home. I'm named after my Aunt Teddy and after my Aunt Susie. Those were nicknames for them, but those are my given names. I'm Teddy Sue, and that is my birth certificate name. My Aunt Teddy's real name was Thelma Dolores, and my Aunt Susie's real name was Hazel Marie, so I could have been Thelma Hazel. Thank God they went for the nicknames. Okay, so this is our entryway. Okay, so many times in a high-rise, you have to balance the small size of an entryway with either having this bigger space, which we don't have, and the reason is behind this door is a full pantry, which is, I call the store, because it is everything in there that, you know, all the extra little stuff that if I want to change something out, it's all in there. But so this entryway follows the original footprint of the space layout here. And what I did is I love this Ixol wallpaper. It's the Bosphorus, Romantic Bosphorus, I think it's called. And so I covered the entryway in this because we are in a high rise and we don't have access to any green spaces, and I love the outdoors. So this sort of gave me that option, and I hung this wonderful 1960s starburst mirror that I'm just very fond of, and it has this leather braiding on here, and it's just such a great juxtaposition. This is a 1950s stone sculpture, and then it sits on this antique Italian console. And I do want to point out over here that this is really fun. This is part of a set that is very special to us. This was given to us by a friend. It's part of a set, a child's set from the 18th century when our first grandchild was born. So we've had it. Now that grandchild is 25. So I just can't not have it in the room. So when we entertain, we do have this console set up with either some kind of a drink or an hors d'oeuvre offering for guests as they come in before they enter into the living room. All right, so let's head into the living room now, which is our primary entertaining and living space. And this is a rather large room. And what we did is, my husband is a voracious reader. So what people notice when they first walk in here is that we have two large walls. This room is 30 feet long, and we have two large walls of bookcases. And God love him, he lets me hang my art over his bookcases because he collects books and I collect art. So that's how we come together with it. And let me point out that in talking about the art, I love to collect decommissioned pieces from museums. And I'm looking, and these two are not. This was the first piece that I ever bought. I was 18 years old. I paid $100 for it. And it was painted in the 1870s. And I still love it today. And then it hangs above a piece that was painted by the late Harry Lewis, who was a very dear friend of ours. And this was painted in the 1950s. So again, I love that juxtaposition, and it sort of speaks to how I decorate a space. And Courtney and I, my daughter and I, love to mix different periods and styles. These are engravings that belong to my mother, and I love these. They're different Italian cities, and they hang over these great chairs that, again, we mix all of our fabrics. We love to mix patterns. The sort of the primary piece, I would say, in this room is this cabinet. And this is from Nick Brock here in Dallas, Nick Brock Antiques, who I think is one of the best antique stores in the country. And if you haven't been to Nick Brock, you really should go see it. But so this is a cabinet that was custom made that we found at Nick's, and I love the detail in this. And it is a workhorse of a piece. I keep most of my china and serving pieces in there that we use on a regular basis. On top of that, Courtney and I found these wonderful antique wooden monkeys with overlay of copper, and then these shades. The reason I want to mention these is they are from a Dallas shop, also the lamp shop, she does beautiful work. And so these are all hand rolled shades that were created for these lamps that she made for us. Also on top of this console are these wonderful creamware urns that were a gift from my husband and a number of years ago. And then this, of course, is just some beautiful coral. And we have it all tied together with that great contemporary piece that was a gift from our daughter. So what we might do is move here. This is our dining area. And because I gave up our dining room when we changed the apartment around, what we've done is we have this table, and it really has served great because we have people who will come. We can seat 4 people really comfortably. I also use this when I work at home, and it works well. But if we have more people, like for Thanksgiving or a holiday, we have a leaf and we'll open it up and do a buffet. So that works really well for our purposes. So over here, more books and paintings that, this is a painting that is by an artist named, his last name is Austin, and he painted in the 1940s, and I think he may have died like in the 50s, but he was very popular, and you could see him a lot on the West Coast. And I can't remember, I think I found that in a gallery somewhere. It's not a decommissioned piece, and this piece is not this real contemporary, but again, you can see how I've mixed them together, and that's just part of what we love to do. I didn't realize this was lying here. This is how crazy I am, Allison. This is fabric that I'm already considering redoing these chairs in. Isn't that a sickness? I know. I don't know, because I love this fabric. I think what I do sometimes is I will have slip covers made to go over something so I can change them out. But yes, I just realized that was there. It is beautiful fabric. I truly believe that a space tells you what it wants to be. I think homes do that architecturally, but I think any space, even a brand new high rise, this building was built in '63, but I think any space you go into, when you spend some time there, it tells you what it wants to be. And so for us, the way we decide where to place furniture is we spend some time in the room. First of all, we want to know how people live. You know, are they formal? Are they casual? This may look like we're formal, but we are very casual people. And your feet have to be able to go up on anything, and you have to be able to sit on anything. There's nothing that's off limits to anyone, our grandchildren or adults. And so we love to mix fabrics. We may decide on a color scheme, and then we just come up with fabrics. I don't like anything to match perfectly. I always like things to be a little off. For instance, if you look at these fabrics, this is a wonderful Foyer fabric that is on these Baker chairs, and these are old chairs. But then this is a fabric that really has no relationship as far as anything, except it has a different shade of blue in it, and the pattern's a little bit different scale. But I love the way those two fabrics relate to each other. And then, for instance, this is another good example of how we might decorate. This chair, I paid $10 for each of these chairs a million years ago. But these are upholstered with this little very 1980s and 90s. And so I had these matelassé slips made for them, and it totally changed the chairs, and they're great to move around for extra seating when we have parties or that we just need an extra seat somewhere. This is the fabric on here. We like to decide where we might use performance fabrics, and because we are a very tactile family and feet go up on things, not on these dining chairs, but so if I want to change something like this, I just did this little slip on the back so that it adds just a little extra something. But these are performance fabrics and serve the purpose of having a beautiful design, but also something that is very usable, and you really can't do anything to hurt it. I love club chairs. They're always, to me, universally comfortable, and they fit anyone. But I'm someone who doesn't have very long legs, and so I like things that are a little bit lower, but I also love to have an arm. These are beautiful club chairs that we had made and upholstered in this wonderful fabric that tells a story. And we use these blues and greens, and I threw in this little bit of aubergine mohair to pull out some of that color in the fabric. But people are always drawn to these chairs, and I think it is because of the design, but it works so well with what goes on in this whole area. This is an Italian, I actually think it's Venetian now that I'm thinking about this, secretary that is painted, and I love it. And this came from an estate in New York City from Christie's, and it's just a piece that I love. It's filled again with my Blanc de Chine and creamware that I collect. In here there are pieces of my mother's and of mine and gifts from my best friend who just also passed away this last year. And so when I look at these things, it evokes a lot of wonderful feelings, and I know that I'm in my space. So the green table, it's a tray table, and I bought it. It's one of those things, because I believe, like most designers do, that if you see something and you just fall in love with it, and you can afford it, you should buy it, and you will find a place for it. It is here literally because I had no other spot for it. It is a different shade of green than you see, but again, that goes back to what we love in the way that we decorate at Coco and Dash, is that we don't want everything to match. I don't like much of anything to match. And so that sits there, and it just keeps your eye refreshed is the way I think of it, because it's your eye picks up the nuances between this green and the malachite green on the secretary. And then in front of it is one of the little chairs, the little 18th century chairs that was a gift from our friend, and our grandchildren have all used these. This is a custom couch that we had made through Coco and Dash, and everything, the lampshades, the pillows, the upholstered pieces, we are for the most part new. The side accent chairs and stuff are not, but the other pieces, I did go ahead and I decided I wanted a whole new look, and I just wanted to do something fun. So this is covered in, you cannot go wrong in a green velvet. Green is my favorite color, and to me, green velvet in a room, or any, whether it's linen or mohair, whatever, it just adds such a wonderful uplifting feeling to a space. And we did these custom pillows, and of course the ubiquitous tiger pillows, and then we have more art behind. This is one of, I paint, this is one of my paintings. This is a painting that my husband bought that I also love. It's very calming and relaxing. This is a painting that I bought in New York City in the 1980s. I don't even like clowns. I do not know what happened, but this felt so French to me. I had it framed, but the little painting, I bought it at a gallery, and it just, there was something, they weren't creepy clowns. And I loved the colors, the aubergines and the lilacs and blues. And I just noticed there's a little blue and white check in there too. When we do an area like this where there is a chair, we always put a drinks table next to it. Some kind of table where someone, of course, can put a drink or a cup of coffee. And in our case, it's usually a cup of coffee or an iced tea. But we always make sure that that's within easy reach. And this, we had this wonderful fun camel table, and so we put that next to an English chair, which is not something that you might think of doing, but it works well. And then this is covered in this wonderful linen from Ralph Lauren that is a very muted animal print. So when we go over this way, this is probably, to me, the most important piece in my room is this little table. This was one of the first pieces of furniture that my husband and I bought in our first home when we were first married in our 20s. And it's the only surviving piece from our original living room. For some reason, I think I just switched stuff out. But I had Barry Martin here in Dallas do this beautiful tortoiseshell finish on it. And it just is, it really is a very special piece. And so I would encourage you, if you have something that you think this is beat up or the legs are scratched or whatever, find a wonderful painter. If you're in Dallas, Barry Martin Painting does these beautiful faux finishes, and you will have a little jewel of a piece that still has that wonderful emotional connection, but it also is updated and brought into to be a wonderful design piece. The coffee table is an old Gracie table, and it is also a workhorse. My grandsons have grown up with their sitting on a sofa with their feet on this table. The only thing I ever asked them was to take their shoes off, but their feet were always on this table, and it has held up so beautifully. And I like a coffee table that is pretty robustly decorated. I think it's, you know, we don't really use a coffee table to sit coffee cups on. In our home, we don't. But I do love it as a place to show very special things. And to me, I love to have something large in the center to ground the coffee table. And then, of course, we're book people. So I always have books that need to be somewhere. And I like to balance a coffee table with books, usually on either end. You'll see a couple other tables that I've done a little bit differently, but and then I just add in these pieces that are, you know, these are all old pieces that were, you know, gifts that or sentimental pieces from family that we've had forever and ever. And I have over here on this Gracie table, I have this Mexican pottery or terracotta plate. I have a set of those from my friend Wynn, but I love to put those out. And Courtney gave me this beautiful incense burner, and I love being able to look at it. So, you know, it just gives you, and then I always add a candle, but it gives you, when you're in a space by yourself, and I sit in this room often and drink coffee in the morning and answer emails, and I love to have that beautiful setting in front of me. And also my feet are usually on this coffee table, and it's just it's pretty, and it gives you a good feeling of home and reminds you of special people and special feelings. This is a pair of paintings. You heard me say a while ago that I love decommissioned paintings, and what that means is that museums periodically will go through their inventory and determine that a piece is not necessarily something that they want in the museum anymore. It doesn't mean the piece isn't good. It just means that, you know, whether it's for budgetary reasons or whatever. Generally, these are not expensive paintings. You're not talking about tens of thousands of dollars. This is a pair of paintings by an artist from Maryland, and I loved them. I love anything with snow in it. So this was a winter scene, and then here's a harbor scene, and I love those paintings. These are the original frames that they came in, and it's just a way, if you keep your eye out and you research, that you can find museums that decommission these paintings, and there's always something very interesting that's available, and it's one of my favorite things to look for. And a lot of galleries will carry them, and we see them, of course, at different antique shows, and usually they have some kind of paper that goes with them that tells you this is where they were from, and you know, this is the artist. So they just make a great addition. I'm a fan of paintings that are more vintage looking, even though they may be like a modern subject matter. I love that vintage look with, you know, the antiques and the new upholstery in a room. Sitting on this table, it's another Tom Brett table that is a bleached rosewood, weighs a ton, but he was known for bleaching this wood, and I loved this table. It's got all of the carvings of deer and elephants, and I'm an animal lover, so you've probably noticed I have elephants, monkeys, horses, dogs, everything in this room. And then these monkeys are one of my favorite things, and Courtney and I kind of we didn't even flip a coin. I think I just sort of said, I get them, I'll be gone first. So these are vintage from the 1950s or 60s. They're Italian terracotta, and they're glazed, and I truly love them. And then I just use this French toll piece in the center with them, but they're just happy. Nobody ever comes in this room that they aren't taken with these monkey musicians. And they remind me of the old Meissen pieces. Now we're going to go into my husband's study, which was formerly the guest bedroom. And in this room, again, I have bookcases with some of his books. He still has room. I always try and leave room for him to add books, because he has, you'll see there are books on chairs, and he loves that. So another green velvet sofa, because you can't go wrong with them. And we did these chairs that are replicas of the chairs that were on FDR's yacht, the Sequoia, when he was president. And I covered them in this fabric with the ferns, because I love ferns. And then this room to me is really special. It's very masculine. I love coming in here. There are pieces in here. My father was career military. I think I may have mentioned that. And he was an amazing man. And so I have a lot of his pieces, like this one, that were, these were awards that were given to him, and presentations from different countries. And we have them spread kind of around the room. And those are matchbooks that he picked up from different places all over the world. And so I really love that the two men that are the most important men in my life are kind of combined in this room. Because this building our apartment faces the west side of the building, we use these wonderful natural fiber shades that block the heat and the light when it's real bright in here. So those with the, we did just the, I left these curtains. They were curtains that were in here before, and I think they look great with this. They're pretty muted. And then back here I have this beautiful Chinese chest that is topped with green ware that you'll see in the morning room that I have a big collection of. But and then one of my friend Win Morton's lanterns. And then, you know, I love the columns. We did the columns and I put the big gazing balls on top of those just because I thought it added a little light, and you know, it gives the illusion of more height in this room. These ceilings are 8.5 feet tall, so they're not vast ceilings. And then the rest of this is, you know, all, this was Win Morton's, this was his wingback chair, and I had it recovered, and my husband, you should have seen his face when he saw this trim. But I love it, and we call it Mopsy. And then I have a pair of these antique leather footstools. One's an elephant, and one's a donkey over here. And then I guess this is the only new piece of art. These other pieces are all pieces that we've had forever. Those are Jay Gould pieces. A TV is just a normal part of life anymore. It's almost like a cell phone. And most people want a large television. I would rather just have something beautiful like we did here to set the TV on, and it is what it is. You're going to have a television. You want it to have comfortable seating, and my husband loves to sit in here and watch a game, and this piece is one of my favorite pieces. Again, I did not have a place for this when I bought it. It is from the 1970s, and it's a tessellated horn console, and it has these little drawers in it that are trimmed in brass, and it also has a matching mirror that I don't have hung. But it's the perfect size for this television set. The only place I would not want a television, we don't do televisions in bedrooms. We discourage that for a number of health reasons and just sort of general sense of calm. But, you know, I think if you've got a room that you prefer to sit in, that's the best place to put a television. We don't have to have a television in every single room. Especially if they're these big monsters like these. One of the things that I love to do is I have this big basket, and I keep it on a lower shelf under this table, and they're loose photos. I took most of these out of albums. My son as a baby, Courtney as a teenager, family friends, our friends at the farm, all of these things, me as a child in Germany. My grandkids love digging through this box, and it's so much fun to see them switching photos around and sharing them, and it's a great place to compile your photos, so to speak, but you're not having to put them in those books that you're generally not going to pull out anyway. And this allows people, we have friends who will come in and go through these photos. You know, they'll just start poking through and seeing what they can find. But I think if you have a really pretty basket like this or container of some kind, it's a great way to corral all those photos and have them where they're accessible and you get to enjoy them. This is the morning room, and this really is generally people's favorite room. It is a small room. It's, I think, 15 by 13, something like that. So it's not a big room, but this was originally my dining room, and I changed it because I wanted a place for us to have more seating for entertaining, and we were finding that we actually were doing more kind of buffet type dinners, even though I love to set a table, which is why I want my dining room back. But so we converted this room. There used to be a door here. We closed that up, and this space is really, we call it the green room, which is interesting because there's so much blue and white. But I love malachite green, and I collect a lot of greenware. And so this cabinet, this is an English chinoiserie cabinet that's an antique. It's not a very big cabinet, but in this I have, this is my little dachshund Henry is in this little Egyptian box. There's his picture, and I have everything. This was part of a set presented to my father. This was from Win Morton, our family friend from my parents when we lived in Europe. And I traveled a lot on my former career. I traveled a lot in the Middle East, and so there are things from that. And so everything in there also has a memory or a reason for being there. So these prints that you see here are the same prints that Lee Radswell had in her, these are museum prints, these are new, that she had in her Paris apartment and then ultimately gave to Tory Burch. But we love these, and I have a set of 12 of them, and I think they bring so much life and color to this space that I knew that was what I wanted to go on that wall. We spend most of our time in here. It's full of things that are especially important to me that I love. That this is a painting that was done by Wynn's partner and our dear friend Harry Lewis, and this was painted in the 1950s, and these were part of their Majolica collection that hung in their home. And then as you come over here, this is just a wonderful little camel table that I loved. It's cockamamie and kind of quirky looking, and then more vintage paintings. And then this is one of a pair of these grotto consoles that Courtney and I loved, and we had these faux tortoiseshell tops made for them so that they're painted. I generally prefer painted woods to a natural marble or stone of any kind. I love the fact that it has a human hand to it, and it's just a little more relaxed and quirky to me. Then all of the seating in here is very comfortable. Everything's meant to relax and just kind of ease out of your day. And then these are some of my design books that I keep. Another gigantic TV. You know, these can close. The truth is, I never close them, but they could if I needed to. It is a cheetah carpet. Yes, it's Stark by Stark, and it is a cheetah wool carpet. And this is my favorite rug that I use either in projects or for myself. It's just almost indestructible. It never looks messy, and it reads like a neutral. So I really do love it, and yet it has a little bit of a wink to it, to me. Okay, so this is the principal bedroom, and what we did, if you've noticed, all of the walls in this apartment are done in a soft white. And the reason that we did that is because right before we moved back in, there was a flood in the building. So I drew the line at putting wallpaper up, and we didn't even paint. But also in our design projects, a lot of times we have used, and I prefer a soft white wall because I think it shows the fabrics and the furnishing so beautifully. But we did this beautiful headboard, and it has the matching base to it, and the bed hangings, and then of course these you have to have your reading lamps. And this is all we use. We use a sheet, and it looks heavy, but it's very light. And I always do white bedding, and it's my favorite. And not lots of pillows. I'm not a person that wants a ton of pillows stacked up on the bed, because then you just have to drag them off at the end of the day. But so we just have a minimal number of pillows. So these are prints that are also from the gallery that made the prints in the morning room, and these are Japanese birds, and I always found these very soothing. So I have those in the bedroom. And then these were my mother's lamps, and my mother bought these in Italy when I was a little girl, and it was our first or second, I can't remember, when we were living there, I guess our first time. And so they're now at my home. And then I had these beautiful shades that Melissa Woody made for me from the lamp shop, and they're just perfection, and they're trimmed in this little tiny blue and white check. And it's just a really pleasant, fun thing to look at in the evening when we're lying in bed reading. Then I have all of these things. These are gifts from my daughter, my husband. They're just little tiny things. I love littles, and that can be kind of a problem. So this was my mother's chair, and ultimately I will have it reupholstered. Right now, I just want it to be, it was in her bedroom, and I just enjoy seeing it. And again, this is a lamp from Win Morton, and I love having those there. The two of them were very, very dear friends. I have this little desk in here. I do not ever sit at this desk. I don't think your bedroom should be used for anything other than sleeping and relaxing, and so I don't really use it as workspace. So this is my dressing room and bathroom, and it's very simple, lots of white, because I like very clean bathrooms and kitchens. I keep it pretty simple. I like it simple. I like, I don't keep a lot of stuff sitting around, and I find that it's more soothing. And I've got so much going on in a day-to-day routine that I love to come in here, and it just all feels pretty calm. I think one of the secrets to a happy union with your husband or spouse or partnership is definitely separate bathrooms. We have a rule in the Garrigan household that this bathroom is off limits to any boys. That includes husband, grandsons, guests. All the males use the male bathroom. Only girls can come in here. And to this day, my grandsons will not step foot in this bathroom. They know to go over to their papas. So it's, you know what, I like knowing that this is a tiny little space where I know where everything is, and it feels very private. It's very private. So this is truly a working kitchen. This is the original footprint to this kitchen, and we really made very few changes to it. And again, considered we were getting ready to redo the kitchen, truthfully, and there was an incident on the top 3 floors that they have spent 2.5 years having to rebuild some apartments up there. So we just kind of put a halt on it because there's so much construction going on in the building. But I love this kitchen. It works perfectly for entertaining. It works perfectly for just the two of us. Most of the time we dine out or we'll do something simple at home. And so it serves those purposes, but it really does work great for entertaining. And this piece slides to that end of the kitchen and opens up, and then it becomes like a little beverage station when we need it. And then I brought in this piece. I've had this for years. It's an old baker piece that is 4 pieces. It's called a bachelor's set, and so you could like these could be used as nightstands and as a dresser, and the components all change places. But I use it. You can see how healthy my food is. I use it to store food and as a pantry, and then I keep the silver that I use every day in here. And then I'll show you my actual china cabinet. These were open shelves when we were here before, or open areas. They were all mirrored. And so I had these cabinets built to hold some of my china, and I have a lot. That's another thing that I tend to collect. You know what? My favorite piece of china, this was the china that when Dan and I got married. This is Schumann, and they don't even make it anymore. And I love it because talk about grand millennial. It's happy, it's fun flowers, and my mother gave me a lot of the pieces to it, and I use it a lot. And then I use it with these I have a whole dessert set of these. This is probably right up there with that one, because these were a gift from my mother's, I think for I want to say my 30th birthday. And and I use those every chance I get. So I am anxious to have a dining room again, because I do love to set a table, and I continue to purchase those kinds of things. I love cocktail napkins. I love all the things that anybody who entertains loves to use. And I'd rather use those things on a table, really the decorative items, almost more than a lot of flowers, because they have such good memories. My favorite thing about my home is my family. When we are here, everybody is always relaxed. My home, and I think this goes back again to growing up as a military kid, your home is the most important investment that you'll ever make. And I know that when I moved so often, Allison, my mother would, I don't know how she did it, but she could transform wherever we were into our home where things felt familiar. And even though she added new things in from different cultures, it always felt like home. So to me, that I still have that aesthetic. And I have things of my mother's, I have things of dear friends that are no longer with us. And to me, the most important things would be family and feeling super secure and relaxed when I walk in here at the end of the day. And for my husband is an attorney, and he is he really works a lot, and nothing makes me happier than when he comes home and says, I love walking in our house.
Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Sarah. Welcome to my home in Dallas, Texas.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Like and subscribe for more.
Hi, I'm Sarah Johnson with Sarah Johnson Interiors in Dallas, Texas. So I live in my home with my husband, who's my college sweetheart, and our 3 boys. I have a senior in high school, a sophomore in high school, and a 5th grader, my male dog, and my male cat. So I live with all boys. A lot of masculine energy. So I try to design my house beautifully how I would want to see it. but durability is very important in a house with all boys. So my home was built in 1930s. All of the living spaces are on the first floor. So we have, our open concept kitchen and living area. We have a formal dining room. The original formal dining room I actually converted to a home office. And then all the bedrooms are on the second floor. So we all live on the second floor. And I think that's pretty typical of architecture in Dallas. I don't think I directly knew that I wanted to do interior design all my life, but there were always little episodes that I now look back on and I think, oh, I should have always done this from the get-go. I was always rearranging the floor plan of my bedroom. I actually had an antique bed and it would fall apart every time I moved it. The slats underneath would fall down, but I always had to be changing my space and seeing it in a new light. And then I had the opportunity to purchase some real estate in Dallas and I renovated them and it was time to sell them, and I decided to get into real estate so that I could capture all the profit on that. And from there, I sold real estate for a long time, mostly because I just loved interiors. And finally, about 5 years ago, I'm like, you know what? This is as good a time as any. I'm gonna do what I'm passionate about, and I started doing it professionally. Welcome to my foyer. When you enter into my house, it's got a step down right here. And so it was a little bit tricky with what to do on these two different levels. So we decided to put this awesome, beautiful, kind of hand stenciled pattern on the landing so that people could see this step essentially when they walked in my house without tripping. So that was a fun little accent that we did. On my stairs, I actually used an indoor-outdoor rug on my stairs because I have 3 boys and a dog and a cat. So I don't have any worry about people using the stairs up and down, throwing things on the stairs. It's extremely durable. This part of the banister was actually original to the house. Unfortunately, we could not keep the original banister. It kind of just fell apart in the renovation, but I held on to this little guy and popped it on. So I think that's kind of fun that it's original to the home. We added the panel to the wall. I love wallpapers and I love any kind of treatment on a wall. I think it's a really important part of design. And so instead of wallpapering the foyer, I chose to add some paneling. So coming off the foyer, this is my office. I actually work from home, so I have baskets full of textiles. But I try to keep it as organized as possible. I have lots of storage, and on this side is my bookshelf of all my treasures. I mean, my child did a portrait of me, and I am not blonde, but that's supposed to be me. And I just have little trinkets from travel, family photos, my kids' art. So this space just brings me a lot of happiness to be surrounded in here with all that. This was originally a dining room in the home, and I converted it into my office. All of the bookshelves and cabinetry was added to be completely surrounding the room, and we added a very large round window. I love a round window. What I also love about this window is behind this fabric is actually corkboard. So on a normal work day, everything is pinned up on my corkboard, and it's just a fun way to use this space as basically my pin board and inspiration board. I don't know who that man is in that portrait. I was at my cousin's wedding in a small town outside of Atlanta, and I found that at an antique store, and I loved it. And it's actually plexiglass, and it's been painted on top of plexiglass. I thought maybe I would purchase it for a client, but I kept it for myself. So I collect antique boxes. This was actually a wedding gift from a family friend. I collected this one on my own. I love collections. I think it gives me a little bit of purpose when I'm out and about in an antique store or I'm traveling. It's always fun to hunt for certain things. So I'm always on the hunt for an antique box. And another collection I have are baby cups, and that's in the other room. So it's fun to have a collection and also to display it. I've just put old photos in that box. It's just a prettier way to to store things, I think. Also in my office, I just love to have a window bench, another great place to sit. It's actually the perfect perch for my little kitty. He keeps me company during the day. And I love the inside mount full length drapery as opposed to like a Roman shade. I think it looks pretty from the outside. Also what we did here is we did the liner in a pinstripe. So from the window outside, you see a pretty pinstripe instead of just a regular white drapery liner. So, and then the wall mounted lights are beautiful and with the exposed wire, I think just gives it a little bit more interest. For this room, we actually wallpapered the ceiling. There was no opportunity to wallpaper a wall in here, so we wallpapered the ceiling. I chose kind of this smaller pattern Geo, and I love it because it brings all of my colors together. It has the greens and it has some blues and it has some taupe, and so it was just a great way to pull all the different colors together in one area. So now I'm taking you into my dining room. When we purchased the house, this was an original formal sitting area, and since I had taken over the original dining room for my office, I wanted to allocate this as my formal dining. It's a little unexpected. It's not off the kitchen, but it's still super easy to entertain in here and serve food. It's in close proximity to the kitchen. Also, we have the original fireplace in here, which was so important to me to keep and preserve. I think it's just beautiful to have in a dining room. The mirror above it is my great-grandmother's, so that's really special to me. But I think the most special thing in the room is my grandmother's baccarat chandelier that came out of her home in Connecticut. So my mom had it created and shipped to me. It is originally, I think, probably 3 times the size, but I was able to find someone in Dallas who essentially took the whole chandelier apart and built it to the right scale for this room. So every crystal is original. It looks exactly like it did in my grandmother's room. It's just now the perfect scale for this room. This is also her dining room table and chairs. So those mean a lot to me. I did reupholster these chairs, and because this room is so traditional, I think that an unexpected kind of contemporary geo made it really fun to put in here, and also the neutral brown just I think makes it work. So I did reupholster these, but everything else is original. And in this room, I also did a little bit of high-low. The wallpaper, the Gracie wallpaper, was really important for me to have in here. And so for the rug, I just chose a cotton drury, essentially. And so I think it's a good juxtaposition of high and low and even formal and casual. So it's just a little bit more approachable to come in here and even just eat a casual dinner. It doesn't have to be so formal. Oh, we don't use it a lot, unfortunately, but the area we do use, we don't sit at the dining room table as often as I would like, but what we do use is this area just off the dining room. I believe this was probably an old porch at some point. When we purchased the home, it had just some kind of faux columns in here, and again, they were using it as a sitting area. So my husband and I thought it would be fun to make it into like a bar. And so when we entertain, we like to just kind of hang out in here. So I feel like this area is used a little bit more than actually sitting down at the formal dining table. What I also love about this room is, again, going back to my grandmother's house, she had these leaded windows in her house. And my mom has copied the pattern, and now I have copied the pattern. And so I had these leaded glass cabinets made with her pattern on it. So these are really special to me. And then the hardware actually has my husband's monogram. So that's a fun little touch. I cannot take credit for these. So my friend Emily Miller, her company is Emily Miller Decor. She helps me with all my styling. And she creates the most phenomenal tablescapes. So she came over yesterday and thought these would be really pretty to have in my bar for the shoot. I think she told me these are from her husband's family, and they're very old and beautiful. I wish I had more of a story for you, but I don't. Everything Emily does or touches is beautiful. I would describe the style of my home as a traditional home. It's an original 1930s home, brick facade, beautiful fireplace chimney out front. So we definitely kept the traditional aesthetic when we did our renovation. I am a homebody. I would call myself an extroverted introvert. So I do spend a lot of time at home. I need that time to kind of refresh. I think the favorite part of my home is my dining room. I love the Gracie wallpaper. It has a lot of sentimental pieces in there from my grandmother's home in Connecticut. And so when I'm in there, I'm surrounded by beauty, but it also brings a lot of beautiful memories back. So it's definitely my favorite room of the house. Open to the dining room is our family area. And I think because our home is such an open concept where the kitchen flows into the family room and then into the dining room, it makes it really easy to get food and everything into the dining room when I do entertain. So that's why I wasn't so concerned with the dining room not being in a proper location. This family room basically stopped about here. So we added on probably about 12 more linear feet that way. The fireplace, unfortunately, didn't survive, so we had to purchase a new cast stone fireplace. The original had awesome carving, but when we started the demo, it literally just crumbled. So that is a new fireplace. But in here, I've just mixed old and new and, artwork that we've collected, and just tried to make it a very casual, easy spot for my kids and my husband to enjoy. This desk, secretary desk, I found locally at a place called Lots of Furniture. It's this huge warehouse that you literally have to dig through, but I have found quite a few treasures there. I purchased it for my last house. It fit perfectly in between a set of 2 French doors. And I like it over here because this wall just kind of needed something. So it brings a little bit of height and some dimension to it. And I've just had some glass shelves made so I could display a few things. This is a picture of a home that we used to own in Taos, New Mexico. So that always brings us a lot of joy. And next to it, we actually bought this from a local artist in Taos, New Mexico. So it's got a lot of memories mixed in this area as well. In Texas design, Dallas design specifically, there's a big trend for game tables. And so a lot of designers and a lot of homeowners are requesting that game tables be incorporated into their living spaces. And I'm one of them, and it is great. It brings our family together. We have our game table here. This game table I found at a consignment shop in Newport Beach, California, and I love the little scalloped corners on it. And because of the traditional lines, I chose a more modern chair. I found this light fixture at Round Top from an antique dealer out of Florida, and I just think that the etching is really beautiful and the shape is very unique. I just learned how to play Mahjong a couple of months ago, and it is addicting. So I have now required that all of my boys have learned to play. We had lessons over the summer, so yes, I get to play often, and I have built-in kids to play with me. For my own home, I love wallpaper. I would wallpaper every surface if I could. So I always start with something on the wall, and then I like to layer in a lot of textiles. I think kind of one of my signature designs would be adding contrast pipe to an upholstered piece, a lot of details in the pillows, just to kind of give it a little bit of a detailed but casual appearance. For now, let's head outside, but I just wanted to point out one of my other favorite things to do, and that is a Dutch door. We are able to enjoy the outside quite often in Texas, and so it's nice to just have this open when it's beautiful. And this door was a little bit tricky because we wanted to have steel frame doors, and it matches the front door, but in order to make it a Dutch door was a little bit of a challenge, but we got it done. And in all of my previous houses, I always have a Dutch door. It's also a very New England thing to have, so I'm glad that I have it. Welcome to the backyard. This backyard renovation all centered around the pool. This is the original pool, and so we decided to leave it, and we just turfed all the way around it. Turf is important to us with the boys and the dog. It just eliminates a lot of dirt and mud and grass tracking in the house, so the turf has been a great clean alternative for us. We also put in a putting green, and we have a basketball hoop on the other side, just so we can attract all the boys out here and all their friends, and it's a great place just to be all together. I think one of the themes of my backyard is this scallop edging everywhere. I found these beautiful celery Kimball lounge chairs and outdoor furniture, and I love the scallop detail. So when I was looking for umbrellas, I also did the scallop detail there. And we'll get to this area maybe later, but my custom lanterns on the back of the house also have a scalloped edge on it. And then I also have lights over here in the patio that have a scalloped edge. So I kind of went all out with the scallops in our backyard. And the metal roof is a scalloped edge roof. So, and then over here, this is actually a new structure, which is our garage with an apartment above, and then our outdoor entertaining space. We couldn't get a patio off the back of the house because of the expansion. It got way too close to the pool. So we decided just to move it all over here to this structure, and it's great. We have our built-in barbecue, a nice little bar area, a cabana bath for when we have people out here swimming and all wet, they don't have to trample through the house. And then this is our patio seating, and we come out here often, watch football, we can make a fire. This is my Pennsylvania bluestone, the ode to New England. So we just really enjoy it out here. Welcome to my kitchen. This beautiful stone is actually a quartzite. We used to have marble in our own old home, which I absolutely love. But from a durability standpoint, my husband was pretty adamant that there was no more marble to be had in my kitchen. But I think this is a beautiful alternative, and it's held up perfectly in a hardworking kitchen. The house ended right here, so we had to put a support beam for the expansion, and sadly it was not centered on the room. So I had a great architect, his name's William Briggs, come in and design this beautiful ceiling of kind of board on board and beams, and just made it super interesting, and to me feels very New England as well. My lanterns here I found at the lamp shop and fell in love with them. I was told that they were found as an antique, and they were generous enough to share the paint color that they used to paint these old lanterns. And I went ahead and ordered some Wayfair lanterns for a fraction of the price, and I had them painted the exact same color. And then the lamp shop provided the custom shades on all of the fixtures. So I think that's a really fun and creative way to save some money and also mix some high and low, and so that was a fun project for me. This being a west-facing window, I do have full-length functioning drapery just to keep the heat out in the afternoon, and a perfect spot to grow some herbs right there in the window. So this is kind of the sink area. And then over here is where I have our everyday plateware. I replicated the leaded glass that we have in the dining room here as well. And instead of putting a traditional cabinet here, I thought it would be fun to just have a sliding cabinet. And I keep all of our blue and white, our china in here. These also were my grandmother's. So it's just a pretty way to keep things displayed and also accessible to be able to use all the time. So I do use my grandmother's china, which is a blue onion, as my everyday. So this is it. This is the smaller plate. The dinner plate's over there. The rest of them are in the dishwasher. But they're used every day, and I just say, why not use them? Life's too short, and I don't want to just keep them hidden and in a special spot. I know that she would be very happy that we're using them every single day. I grew up in El Paso, Texas, which is on the border of Mexico. And so one of my trips home, we went over the border, and I found these Mexican glasses with some pretty etching inside of them. So this is our glassware that we use every day. So I think that every house doesn't just need a junk drawer, they need a junk room. So what you're not seeing is the mud room / pantry / junk room. So everything has been moved into there for today's shoot. Before we walk upstairs, I just wanted to show you our powder bath. I designed it as a jib door so that it's completely camouflaged with the rest of the paneling. It's a little hard to see, but when you open it, it's like a little jewel box inside. It is a tiny bathroom. It's under the stairs. So I had to be really creative with the sink that I chose. And I skirted the sink to hide all the plumbing behind, and a little unexpected decor in here is a collection of oyster plates, but I thought the colors complemented the wallpaper so well. All right, let's head upstairs. So here we are in the hallway upstairs. What I love about this hallway is the tone-on-tone pinstripe wallpaper. And to complement that, I found these prints at Round Top. Blakely Lively is the artist, and had them framed traditionally, but I think they're I call them my modern botanicals, I think. Welcome to my bedroom. If you haven't already noticed, my favorite color is blue and white. So I love my quadrille paper. It's also in a stripe pattern. I put stripes in every single one of my designs, including the blue and white pinstripe on my drapery. My bed, it was actually a wedding gift, so it means a lot to us. Added some Deporto prints on the bed. One of my new favorite things also to incorporate in my design is to always have a reading light, accessible, easily accessible. I have a switch right here. And then the decorative lamp to the side. I think it's a little difficult to be turning on a decorative lamp after when you're ready to go to sleep. So having a easy on-off reading light is important in my designs. So also as my bedside tables, instead of using a typical bedside table, used some antique pieces that I had passed down to me. This chest of drawer I think is really, really beautiful, and this was actually my great-grandmother's desk. I remember playing on it when I was younger, and it's got water stain marks on it and all the things, but I think that's what adds character. And again, I don't think that any furniture should be so special that you can't use it, you can't enjoy it. So I use it as a bedside table. My closet here is not huge. So when we were renovating the house, we built this wardrobe for my husband. So this is all his, and I get the whole master closet. So this is an addition. Home, I think, means to me, again, a feeling of warmth and comfort. When I think back about how I got into interior design as well, when I was a kid, I kind of feel like it was a sixth sense. I was very influenced by how I felt in my surroundings. And so for me, home is truly feeling at home, and that's comfort and having, a mix of new furniture, but also pieces that mean something to you, whether you bought them on a travel or, you got it from your grandmother's house. It needs to all be incorporated into the design.
Hello, Homeworthy. I'm John. Welcome to our home in the sky.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Like and subscribe for more.
My name is John Pfeiffer Mars. I use all three names because the credits are longer that way. Anyway, Pfeiffer is my mother's maiden name in the South. A lot of times we get our mother's maiden name. And we are in our condominium in Dallas, Texas. I am not a native Texan. I have lived here for about 35 plus years. So Dallas is really my home now. I've been here longer than any other place. I originally grew up in Northwest Arkansas in a very beautiful part of the state, the Ozarks. Where do I begin? It's a long, long story. I just have enjoyed the design world. I actually started off as a theater major. I love theater and set design and costume design. I had a wonderful, wonderful costume designer who had us do interior renderings of rooms based on different plays. And so I loved the study and the architecture and the time periods and learning the different styles of furniture. That was very exciting to me. And then I sort of got into the world of interior design. In Arkansas, you're probably, at that point, there weren't that many interior designers that I knew or would deal with. So my world came through the magazines, and I followed people that I loved. I devoured each issue of Architectural Digest, House Beautiful, whatever I got, I would devour them. Probably the most life-changing thing was I was scouring the library and I found a copy of A.D. and Chanel's Apartment was on the front cover. And I think it changed my life. That chocolatey brown suede sofa, the Coromandel screen behind it. I don't know, I just couldn't get over it. And so I was fascinated by interior design and what interior design is all about, or decorating. I liked it all. So what am I about? I'm about trying to give the client a space that they really enjoy, that is more of a reflection of them than me, and is something that they enjoy coming home to and enjoy living in. I think the biggest thing was a spectacular view over Park Cities of downtown. And there's never a time that I don't enjoy looking out the window and seeing the view. So a lot of people say, well, you don't have a fireplace. Well, I don't. I wish I did, but I don't. But who needs one? I have a view, and I think that sort of takes the place of the fireplace. Then we like our stuff, so we like looking at our art and the things that we enjoy living with. This is the entranceway. I'm a little old-fashioned. I kind of like to have an entry. I don't like just walking into the living room, or in this case, the dining room. So even though it's small, the unit actually has an entrance, which gives you a chance to have a piece of furniture or something to as a focal point when the guest arrives. Here's a monumental piece of Parian ware that I just love. And so she became the focal point of the entrance hall. And then I do enjoy a combination of old and new. I love antiques, but I like to interject more contemporary artwork, and I think it gives it a fresh look and keeps the residence from looking like an antique shop or kind of old and tired. So in this case, I have a nice collection of paper pieces. This is a Pat Steer and a Victor Vasarely, and both of these are modern looking, even though they're actually not that current, but they are very modern looking. And then I think it's a nice contrast to the more traditional pieces of furniture. So even though the entrance hall is small, you sort of get a feeling of walking into a space that is lower ceiling and lighted sort of dimly, and then you turn the corner and come into the dining room, which probably wouldn't be my first choice, but in these units they're configured where the dining room is at this particular spot. We do have a pretty good sized dining room, which enabled us to have a lot of furniture in here, which is good. You'd think we had big dinner parties, but actually we're more cocktail people, have a little cocktail and then go out to dinner. Dallas is full of great restaurants, so there's no need to actually cook. Besides, I don't know how. So anyway, the dining room, we chose a skirted table because the room was a little too leggy. And it seemed like it was all brown furniture and leggy. and needed the softness of some fabric, plus the fact it's great storage underneath. So do not ever lift up this table skirt. It's full of stuff underneath it. But it gives a nice space for books and for just flowers and things that we enjoy, you know, collecting. So speaking of collecting, you know, you're entering a collector's home, and collections are what it's all about here. This is a collection of English ironstone, which I started, years ago. It's circa about 1870, something like that, and it's called Etruscan vases. You know, if it's over $30, it's a vase, not a vase. So anyway, I love this pattern, and I just think it's so pretty. It's very classical, and it has this luster, copper luster border. It's just such a pretty piece. I found one piece years ago, and I thought it was the only one in the world, and then I found two, then I found three, then I found four, then I found a giant dinner set of 144 pieces, which found this cabinet to house it all, store it, and also display it. People ask me, well, do you serve off of it? I'm like, are you kidding? No, but I could. It's fun to use for, you know, serving little sandwiches or something. So I easily could, but I typically don't because it would ruin my display, right? This is a great piece because it has a rather empire style or look to it, but it's super storage. So linens can go in here and other tableware here. And then it had this great display cabinet or space for the transferware, which I love. And then it was kind of an awkward height, but it became a great surface to put a collection of other pieces, Parian-ware, which we kind of like the more classical Parian-ware pieces, and some of these aesthetic movement transferware vases and such. I just think they're very interesting, and it kind of gives you a nice tablescape, even though it's not a table, china cabinetscape at the very top, I suppose, which makes it fun. Anyway, so that's kind of a collection that I really do enjoy, and you'll see tons of it. You'll probably be sick of it after this tour. James Campbell, I share this place with him, and he's my toughest critic and someone that has a really good eye. He's very much into art, and he's also my toughest client to deal with. I put the chairs pointing outward because it's so awkward with a skirted table to scoot a chair up. So, you know, if you do this, it just looks stupid to me. So I think it's more interesting to have them placed outwards like this. Plus this room with a big party can get a lot of use. These scoot away from the table, and we do a buffet here, and then it just becomes extra seating that people want. And then the other thing, the carving on these chairs, it's really, really pretty. And I just like looking at that when I walk around the table. So that's kind of the reason. I think it's practicality. I don't really like to eat around skirted tables because of scooting my knees up into the fabric. So unless they're split and designed in such a way to accommodate a dinner guest, then I think it's a little bit awkward. But, you know, rooms can get too leggy easily, and I think a skirted table really makes a big difference, and you're seeing sort of a resurgence of skirted tables right now. For a while, nobody did them, but now it seemed to be coming back. And so, oh goodness me, here's my book right here on the table. So I think this is fun because that is the cabinet, and this was the shot for the cover of the book, which I always wanted from day one because I think it just talks, it says, this is me, this is what I like, and I love living with the things that make me happy, and I want to look at them, and I want to enjoy them. So the book is all my clients that are collectors and have different collections, and I don't care what you collect as long as you collect something. And most of the time I get the job of making the collections look good, figuring out how to like the collections, how to display them, how to edit them, and that's my job, and that's really, really what I like. So there you go. There's the book. We found this console table, and it needed a lot of restoration. I added the antique mirror at the bottom, which I think gives it a little bit of a sparkle, even though it's antique mirror. And then it's a wonderful shelf, which becomes another source of display for the large Etruscan platters and pitchers. You know, it was so fascinating how they just made every kind of tableware piece. It's very, even not only tableware, but many times they did bedroom pieces, chamber pots, so forth, so on. So it's really interesting. I have little butter pats over here that are about this big with the same pattern. It's just, you know, you find something that you like and kind of makes you happy. Maybe it's the color, maybe it's the arrangement of the classical vases and such. I don't know what it is. It just made me happy, and it does whenever I look at it. I actually have other sets in other colors too, but we won't even go there. I keep this one in here. Okay, now to my vintage stone fruit. I don't know how I got off onto this, but I did, and there's a boiled egg on the top, which, you know, I thought about getting into other things besides the fruit, and I wasn't going to do it because it was just too much to think about. But then I found this boiled egg, and it was so cute, and I loved it. So somehow it's ended up on top of the cherries and the nuts and the grapes. And these are vintage, you know, they're all made in Italy, and some of them are probably from the 19th century, and most of them are probably very early 20th century. The sliced fruit are very hard to find, and I think are very interesting. So here's a pear that's sliced. It's just so pretty, and I like looking at it. And it kind of gives you a dining room feel. But, oh, and here's a peach half with the, whatchamacallit, in the middle. Love that. So that's the little collection of stone fruit, which I have here, and I think we've got some out at the, we have a place in the country, and that's probably more appropriate there, but I like them here, and I don't want to lose them. I like this traditional console with the Vassarelli over it. I think this makes a really nice composition, and as a designer, we all have an eye for composition. And so I like the old with the new. I like the colors. I like the white of this. This is a little Henry Moore piece. This is a Dallas artist, Anne McGuire, that I just love her work. And we fall in love with something and then buy it, or we're always shopping for something for this particular space. And so we saw Anne's work and decided that was it. I think I need something over here, but I haven't found out what that is yet. I will someday. So actually, I can still shop, I suppose, for one more piece of art over there. That kind of takes care of this. Oh, these are fabulous. These are called grotesques. And they're kind of these weird, these are actually bronze. A lot of times they make them out of spelter, but the bronze ones are really finely detailed. And they're just these weird little characters, and they're candlesticks. And so I've thought about buying more of them, but I sort of left that alone. I thought I'll just keep these two. You know, it's important to learn to edit and stop occasionally. So anyway, that's this side of the room. And I will tell you, the table at one time got so covered with books that we couldn't host a dinner party, which was great because it just had too many books on it. And they were just, every day a book was appearing, and it was becoming a problem. So we needed a pair of bookcases, and lo and behold, at auction, there's a wonderful auction house here in Dallas, J. Garrett Auctioneers, and we found this pair of bookcases with marble tops. And lo and behold, just the perfect size and scale, and all the books that had been stacked up here ended up finding a home over here, which was great. And then I think you need some little stools and benches so that you can stack some books on them, of course, or sit on them if you want to. And then the tabletop More Etruscan. These are big serving pieces. Look at that. Is that not pretty? Love it, love it, love it. Okay, it's good to like your stuff, isn't it? A large tureen here. I have the ladle someplace. So there's just all sorts of little things. Artwork too, again, mixing sort of new with old. A wonderful little contemporary painting we bought from a local gallery that we really love. And then traditional mirrors, which we may change those out to more modern ones at some time. I don't know. It's funny to see a room evolve. I think it's a good room never stops growing and changing. As you know, it's just exciting. And as you find things and you live with it, or you see how your room actually works or doesn't work, like the books got crazy, so we found the bookcases, which really have been a lifesaver. So since the dining room literally flows into the living room, I really wanted a sense of separation, and I think this writing desk gives me that. It defines the two rooms, separates them, but it also gives me another great surface for display. And I love a black desk. I had an older one. Well, I had one before that wasn't as good, but I loved it, but it wasn't large enough. So I actually found this at one of my favorite dealers here in Dallas, Wolf Hall, and I loved the piece. It wasn't totally Louis XV. It was sort of getting a little transitional, and I liked that. And it had a beautiful leather top, and I love a red leather top with the edges. It just really looks pretty. So it became a fun little display area for a little collection. I like malachite and little pieces, probably some dust on that one. Small little things, just interesting little things that you enjoy looking at, some antique books. And then, you know, I told you I was so influenced by Chanel's apartment. I have my little version of the Coromandel screen, which is certainly not a fabulous one, but I like what it does. Again, it gives you a backdrop to put things against. I think black, I probably decorate a lot with touches of black because it's a neutral, it's strong, I think it's masculine, and it really gives a room a punch that many times it needs. The screen was an awkward height. I wish it had been taller, but I found this wonderful piece of art by some Dallas artists that I love their work, and Chuck and George, and they just do the most interesting things. I have the cartoon or the sketches for this piece over on the other wall, and I just like what the shape does above the screen. Just the flat lines seem boring to me, so I like something up above it. And again, it was more crazy, sort of modern and interesting. So I think, you know, you want to have fun. You don't want a room that's boring. I don't want an antique shop. I want it to be reflective of here and now. So it has new, it has old, and I think especially with the artwork, that gives it a more fun feel. The nice thing about this size room is it gives me two conversation areas, which it's so nice to have a room where you can have more than one seating area. So this is the main one with the sofa, and gosh, that's a sofa that I think we restyled for this room. Many times I'll just take what I have and then have it redone by the upholsterer to give it a different look. I think it was a pillow back and we turned it into tight back. And so things like that, good comfortable seating, it's easy to sit down on, and swivel chairs, I'm a big proponent of that. And if you want to do sticky, antique-y looking chairs, I think they need to be comfortable, especially for guys, not too delicate. This fellow was something that I actually bought at an auction, and he just was so wonderful. And then I found a nice pedestal for it at my friends here that have a great antique shop in Embry Lake. And then I think the juxtaposition of the more contemporary art, Graham Sutherland, Moreau, Vasarely, and another Moreau, it just really counterbalances all of the antique look. Again, touch of black with a coffee table, and then just little things. This was a Dallas socialite that we bought this gilt piece at her sale, and it's just fun. You know, there's a lot of little shopping experiences. You take a trip and you buy something that you love, and then you bring it home, and you always think about that trip. I don't know why, but I love pears. I bought this 25 years ago, David Sutherland here in Dallas, and I wanted 3, I could only afford 1, and he's just been a big part of my life. I don't know why I like pears so much. You saw the other stone pear over there. This one is by an artist. It's ceramic and has a little wooden stem that comes out, which is interesting. A Rousseau cabinet that I have always loved. They did fine reproductions in New York, and they actually had a branch here in Dallas. And so I love the look, the touch of black again. And then just a combination, a tablescape of things that we like. This is something to do with a loom in the little gilt piece. Just, again, Perrion. This is a current artist that I loved his work. It's just India ink, and it just has such great movement, and I think it's fun just leaning there. I'm not a big proponent of leaning art, but I like that one. You may wonder what this little table is doing over here. You know, the table wasn't here, and it was nice to just look out at the view, but it seemed like we needed a place to set up a little hors d'oeuvre table. So found this at an antique shop, and it's a great place if you're having people over to set up hors d'oeuvres and just to be able to serve from this. They can sort of help themselves. I've prepared this for cocktails, martinis, as soon as this is over, so I will probably be shaking that diligently. And then the other thing is you can take this chair and scoot the other one up, and we do dinner here many times, enjoying the view close to the glass and seeing downtown. So I think that was a really smart investment we did. I thought it would be temporary and I would take it out, but it's never left because it's so serviceable. So I think when those things happen, you need to listen to them, and that becomes a part of the room. The piano, we discussed, I had to deal with that because I had it and I wanted it, and obviously that's one of the first things you have to figure out, where you're going to put the piano. Fortunately, the room was big enough to accommodate it. And then, you know, just extra seating here. Again, the Calder, I think, gave it a fun counterbalance to all the antiques. I like the jolt of orangey red. I think that's fun. Some different artists that did different things. We call her the opera singer because she looks like she's getting ready to break forth into song. And it's just, you know, when we have someone playing the piano and enjoying the room and enjoying conversation and friends, it becomes alive. People make the room come to life. I studied for years, but it's all evaporated. Now I can barely play chopsticks. But I have really talented friends that play beautifully, and so they can come over and play whenever they want to. So that leads us to the other side of the room, which is probably the most popular, the bar area. There was a bar here, but it was orange and awful, and so, well, it was outdated. It was perfectly fine at the time, but we ripped it out, and this really makes the room work. The bar has a refrigerator, an ice maker, and wine cooler. Everything is here. So when guests come, they will come into the room. They usually look out the window at the view, and then we'll sort of perch here on these. I had this little banquette built. It's actually just an armless sofa built, and this becomes a really great conversation area. And I can host and be bartender and pull out the glasses and make a cocktail because I've got all of the stuff right here to make a martini or wine or whatever you want, and then I can be with my guests, I can be talking to them, and we can carry on, and I can make them a drink at the same time. So this was the smartest thing. And so if you have a big party, the people will split up. You'll have a group over there, then you'll have a group over here, but I can kind of always monitor who needs a refill or what they need, and it becomes a really special little area for talking, conversation. Always have nibblies around here. When we're not nibbling, then we have I have a little thing for monkeys, and so we have monkeys and nuts about peonies. So thank goodness peonies are in season right now. So they make it fun. This is a really nice center table that I got from Embry Lake, and one of the first things that I purchased. I actually had it for my house, and I knew it was going to go here, and it was going to become this little conversation area, which just is such a nice place to, enjoy your friends and sit and talk and have a cocktail. I love people coming over. We're big proponents of cocktail hour. Now, I'll tell you this, the only bad thing is people don't know when to go home, and so then I feel like I've got to do dinner, and so if I can't cook, it's got to be nibbly. So now I do finger sandwiches, and I bring those in, because used to, I think you had cocktails for a couple hours, and then everyone left and went on to dinner. Now they don't leave, they just stay, but I love them, and so that's good. It's fun to stay and have a good time. But then I felt guilty because I hadn't fed them, so I had to figure out things to serve. I love the giant cashews from Trader Joe's. We just go through them by the gross practically. And then there was a place in town that did wonderful finger sandwiches, chicken salad and tuna and egg salad and such. And I always have those on hand for a party so I could bring it out on a tray and soak up the liquor. Nuts, deviled eggs, all sorts of things like that I think are fun. Easy things. The point is to have your friends over, to be able to have the fellowship and the friendship and not be too worried. We like to keep the place in enough order that we can say, hey, you want to come out for a drink before we go to dinner? And I don't have to worry about things. I know everything will be pretty presentable, and I could make a couple of drinks here, and then we could go out to dinner after that. So, yes, it works. And this whole room works. I'm thrilled the way it works. I've used very little wall covering in the condo, and this is one of them. I think it's Osborne and Little. It's just it's like a chagrin, and it's just a lovely little texture, quiet, and art looks good on it. And the only thing that I kept from the previous owner was there was a fabulous Cheryl Wagner sink and onyx top and onyx fixtures, and I had to have someone come and repair it and fix it all. But I loved it. I couldn't just toss it, and I kept that for the powder bath. And then we have some kind of special collections of more traditional pieces like Napoleon and his son, Edward VII as a small child. And then my favorite collection in the whole, well, I say that about everything, but okay, you've heard the song, stuck a feather in his cap and called it macaroni. Well, in the 18th century, people went on the grand tour and they would come back a little affected from their trip, seeing, all of the wonderful things in Europe, and especially Americans. And so this is a set of prints, and they're called macaroni prints, and there's 6 of them. And they're all so humorous and so funny, and they make me laugh. And hopefully, if a guest comes into the powder bath, they can also get tickled while they're doing their business. So the macaroni prints, I think, are exciting. There's a closet in here, which had been a shower, but now it's a closet. Holds wine and luggage, so everything is sort of multi-purpose. Oh, I didn't tell you, all the doors originally were orange, so I had them all removed. I had new doors done and in a mahogany look of wood and then French polished. And so I think the little touch of wood on the doors, and I left the casings and everything white, but just really made such a difference. Also, I do unlacquered brass. I like the way it ages and patinates, and I think it's pretty. So some people would not like it. They would think everything has to be polished. I enjoy getting the Brasso out and polishing up my door levers occasionally, or my pulls on the bar. All of it is unlacquered, and I just like the way it, over time sort of becomes this warm kind of golden color. If you're going to do hardware, do good-looking hardware and do overscaled hardware. I hate bad hardware. And touch everything first. I always tell the client, touch it, see, does it feel good? Because if you're going to grab it every day, you want to make sure that you like the way it feels and it doesn't cut your hand or whatever. So that was the little powder bath, which is off the living room. All right, welcome to the library and the room that we probably really use the most. It's a great room to relax. Again, we have the same view as the living room with downtown, and a lot of just favorite pieces that we've collected and things that we enjoy living with on a daily basis. It's just a room that's a good, comfortable room for living. This is actually a twin-size bed, so you can sleep a person here, and but it ends up being a day bed with all the pillows and really comfy, cozy. There was originally an opening here into the living room, which didn't make a lot of sense to me, so of course closed it up, and then I had my cabinet guy build in these bookcases with large file drawers for just filing of different things. And this is a great place to curl up with all the pillows and put a little throw on your feet and lighting so you can read a book, whatever. And then just a collection of prints. I think these are from Sweden, and then I don't even know where those are from. We bought that, I think, at an antique sale or something. So the books, books are really a big part of giving a room character, I think, and then anchoring it with this rug, which I think it was in a bedroom of another house, and it just fit in here like a glove. And then we found this antique partner's desk, and it was really a great find because it let both of us sit in here and use the desk if we wanted to. I'm a big proponent of slip covers, and so this sofa, this is all a slip cover. It's a wonderful fabric. I think Oscar de la Renta did for Lee Joffe, I believe. Anyway, I love this fabric, and it's slip covered, and then the chair is slip covered, and then small little seat slip covers over here. We actually have the fabric for this, but haven't slip covered them yet. But I think it's, I love slip covers. You can either have a summer winter look, or you can just double the wear. I'm always sprawled out here watching TV. People say, where's your TV? Well, it's right there. There's a television there, so we can watch movies, whatever there. And then it's just a place of all of our favorite books, magazines, things that, we constantly look through and enjoy seeing, and pictures and more collections, of course. I was left a lot of first edition, really nice books by a dear friend, and so they're in here, and more Perrion. I like the Perrion bust. Perrion was the poor man's marble, big Victorian item, and they did almost everybody as a bust, from Queen Victoria to Lincoln to the Veiled Lady, which I loved. A client found this, a dear, dear, dear client, and his wife gave it to me after he passed away, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing that I love. Again, memories and art and things that we've enjoyed. I think James's family had those lamps, and so they've ended up in here. And then more books and just family pictures. And then the top shelf I did Perrion busts. So those are all just different things, like from different trips. The center one here, we bought in Ireland, brought back on the airplane, and so everything kind of has a memory. And then just different combinations of bus, but I think they look kind of fun. I started off saying nothing on the windowsill. I just don't want to go there. But of course it happened, and suddenly the windowsill started collecting things. It's a nice deep one, so it's just natural. And that becomes another little tablescape, I guess. And you know what? It's okay. If you're happy and it makes you feel good, I'm all for it. You know, there's too many magazines, too many books, but it's just the way life is, and I think it makes a good little cozy room that you feel comfortable in, or at least we do. They're blackout shades here. They're motorized, and so you can darken the room for television, and then there's a layer of like a wool sheer that can be drawn to for diffusing the light. Everything in a high-rise is about light. And a lot of people don't think they need curtains, but you do, because everything fades, or you have your windows filmed or treated, and it's very important that you are aware of that, because the sun is not your friend for your fabrics and even your books too, so you have to be careful. This is the primary bedroom, and it's a small bedroom, and it's dark, but it's really great for a collection, and actually it's James's collection of 19th century watercolors, and they're really fabulous, but they do not need bright sunlight, so it's a wonderful room because it's tucked away, and even though there's a really great wall covering, which you can hardly see because there's so much stuff hanging on it, it's just a combination, almost floor to ceiling, of these wonderful watercolors, every kind of subject matter, a lot of cattle and sheep and different things and different artists. So it's a room, again, full of collections. I love silhouettes. This was, this was me when I was a kid. You know how your mother would drag you to some place to have a silhouette done. And maybe that's what started it, and then I just kept adding silhouettes and old and new ones, a pair of really fine ones over the bed with the full length. I think that's interesting. I like the composition too over the bed, just to sort of give it a focal point or a focus. And then these are all built-ins, which I added. There's a structural column here. And so I took the space that was left over and I wanted it to look like a paneled wall, but it actually opens up for storage, for linens. I guess this one opens over here. You can tell how many times I open it. I like a darker bedroom. I like a bedroom that is peaceful. And I will tell you about one of my favorite things. Again, I keep saying my favorite thing, but my grandmother Mars, that I love dearly, left me her old brown secretary, probably from the 40s, and it was nothing special. It arrived one day, and I thought, what am I going to do with this? And about a month later, this gal came to my office, and she did wonderful faux finishes. She had a sample board, and it was the bird's eye maple with an inlay of wood and touches of ebony. And I said, wow, that is incredible. Why don't you take the secretary and just faux the whole thing, do a faux bois finish, which is what she did. So she had it for a year, I guess. I didn't know if I'd ever see it again. And one day it arrived, and you know, it's great. It's just everything I love. It was hers, and it means the world to me. And now it's sort of reborn in this new fabulous finish, and it really became a wonderful, wonderful decorative piece that I truly love. I looked at this in an antique store for years, and I thought, that poor little old ugly lady, but she is so ugly, she is just adorable. And so finally I had to bring her home. And I've given her a nice little spot, and I think she's very happy up here. She seems like she is. She hasn't jumped off the wall or anything. I was just going to say that the thought process in the renovation of this place was, I kind of wanted a pre-war building look. And so the tile, the marble, I wanted sort of an old pattern. And I love marble thresholds that separate the wood floor. Each room has its own pattern. There's a border and the herringbone pattern for the wood. And then the bathrooms, the tile and the pedestal sink, I don't know, it just sort of had an old feel to me that made me think it could have been here forever, even though the building was 1966. But I said, if you have a condo, you can sort of make it up and come up with whatever particular style you really want to have. And that's what I did. I think it's fun sometimes to do an oversized painting in a small space. And this was a huge painting, which we found and was enormous and way too big. But you know what? It just made this boring little pass-through become kind of a fun spot to walk through every day. Well, we can touch on the kitchen, which, you know, is tucked away off of the dining room. And it was a galley kitchen. And actually, there was an opening for serving, I suppose, into the dining room. Well, you know, that went away really fast. We like a galley kitchen, and we like a kitchen that's sort of hidden away. And actually, I like preparing food in a galley kitchen because everything's there and easy. And this particular kitchen, we just gutted everything when the inspector came. He was like, well, you know, oh yeah, everything's okay. It just, nothing works. And so we're like, okay, so we just got rid of everything. And then I realized that there was a drop ceiling, and it was terrible. You know, it was the kind they did back in the 80s. So I took that out, and then there was a wonderful designer I knew that lived in the building and had remodeled many, many different apartments, Robert Henry, and he had great taste. And I said, Robert, you know everything about this building, so why don't I just hire you to consult, and you can tell me what I can do and what I can't and what's above that wall before I rip it out. So we knew there was an extra foot of space, and we raised the ceiling, and then it gave us taller cabinets, which are really great for more storage, more dishes, of course, for people that, you know, don't cook but like to eat. And then everything is really built in. It's clean and built in and behind doors and easy. I love this marble. It reminds me of, I used to see the backs of old Chinese antique chairs, and they had these panels of marble in the back, and it reminded me of that. So this particular slab I thought was very interesting in that respect. Everything's built in, it's kind of easy, and it's a functional kitchen, which I like. And then this was kind of a little wasted area, and so we turned it into storage for china, crystal, and everything, because you know if you can't see it, you won't use it. So I think it's very important to be able to see what you have, and when the friends are coming over and you want to do something, even like I said, the small little tea sandwiches, I could look here and say, oh gee, oh, I haven't used these in a long time. I love those little chinoiserie, and it's almost like a platinum border. They're just fun little dishes, and I think I have 6 of them, which is just fine for little sandwiches. I don't have any more. Got them from a wonderful antique dealer, Betty Gertz, here in Dallas, that is no longer with us, but she had one of the best shops. And so I can see everything, therefore I can find it and use it. China, crystal, blah, blah, blah. Tablecloths are stored over there. And then we just did a pocket door with the frosted glass, so that it sort of gave me the feeling of lighting in here. I didn't know really what was behind it, or you wouldn't really know. And that's kind of the kitchen. You know, you got a TV, and that's pretty much it. Our home is a sanctuary. It's a place where you come at the end of the day and you're surrounded by all of your memories and the things that you love and enjoy and make you happy. So it's a place of peace and calm and hopefully it's a reflection of all of the things of your life, probably. I just think it's really important. I love rooms full of memories, rooms full of things that you love and that really make you happy. We're always flattered if someone comes over and likes the condo, but it doesn't really matter because it's really doing it for me, for us, making it a space that we really enjoy living in, surrounded by all the things that we love.
On today's episode of Homeworthy, we're bringing you inside Lisa Henderson's elegant and timeless Dallas home. A labor of love, Lisa's home underwent serious renovations in order to bring her fresh take on traditional design to life. Gorgeous enveloping wallpapers, French fabrics, and a fusion of antiques and modern touches create a sophisticated yet approachable ambiance in each room. Enjoy! You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Like and subscribe for more.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Lisa and welcome to my Dallas home. Come on in. Hi, my name is Lisa Henderson and we are here in my living room in Dallas, Texas. We moved in 2017 and it was originally a one-story red brick house, and we bought it with the intent of remodeling it and adding square footage, but we knew it was going to take a while to figure it out and what the correct floor plan should be. I was very pregnant at the time, which I don't recommend moving 7 months pregnant, and we knew it was going to take probably about 2 years realistically before we were going to be able to move back out, which is exactly what ended up happening. I would describe my home as traditional but fresh, and I like to say that it's not necessarily your grandmother's traditional, but is full of color and comfortable. I want our clients to feel when they enter their home that it is a real place of respite and somewhere that they want to be, and they are so happy to walk in the door every single time they open it. I live here with my husband and our 3 kids. We have our oldest daughter just turned 11, our son is 9, and our youngest daughter is almost 6. So here we are in the formal living room. This is the space that you see right when you walk in the front door. And in the original house, this was 8-foot ceilings, and it was very dark. It was a really, really gloomy space. And this window actually was on this south wall over here. And when we remodeled, we were able to bring it over to get the western light and to help fill the space more with light right when you walk in the door. So in our construction, one of the things that I've always wanted was floor to ceiling bookshelves. And I was really hoping to make this kind of library living room feel for right when you walk in the front door. I wanted it to feel very kind of English, cozy, and with lots of layers. And something that people don't realize when they walk in is that all of the books are actually organized by category. So I know exactly where to go when I'm looking for something. This bay here is all American interior designers, and then we go into architects and gardening. Once we get over to this side here, we get more into travel. We have the Italian section and the French section, and then we get into British interior designers over here, and then we have filled in all amongst the books just things that I've collected from travels and going all over different places, pieces of art. One of the things I collect for my husband is called trench art, and it is from World War I that the soldiers would make while in the trenches of war, and I have found different pieces for him all around the world. This is a really neat little mustard spoon here that was made out of a pair of British pennies. And then this here is actually called a Queen Mary tin, and these were given by Queen Mary to the troops one year for Christmas. And I found a couple of these, but this one is really interesting because it still has the original contents in it. and it's the original cigarettes that you can see from 1914 that were the gifts to the troops from Queen Mary for Christmas that year, which is really, really special. There's also a letter. I didn't say the letter. With best wishes for a happy Christmas and a victorious New Year from the Princess Mary and friends at home. So the original mantelpiece that was in the house was much taller and not pretty or of anything of interest. It was very out of scale for the room. And so by using a plaster mantle, we were able to hug the firebox as close as possible without having to have a secondary material around the fire. There's a wonderful plaster company here that we came up with this design together, that we did the fluted, reeded looking on top and the dots around the sides, kind of Art Deco looking, but we were able to make the overall presence smaller in the room because it's not a very large scale space. And then these sconces I actually purchased for our old house and brought them over, and they originally would have been from a ship, and you can see they swing to and fro, and they would have been to show if the ship was level or not. And so you can see, you could see if they were on calm or busy waters. And then the lampshades are actually from fabric that I bought in Paris and brought them back and turned them into shades. This is an artist from France that I have found that these are actually a pair of terracotta candlesticks that is made into figurines, and all of her pieces are one of a kind. And I thought this little pair was really cute, that she's got a little basket on her head carrying, you know, her market bundle, and then he's got his hands in his pockets over here with the pipe smoking, and he looks kind of grouchy. I thought he was really cute. This is a local Dallas artist named Sally Taylor. This is an abstract ink drawing of hers that is supposed to look like the sand dunes in Carmel, which is a place that we love to go, and I thought that it was really unique that you kind of can't tell what it is, and then once you know the origin of it, you see, you kind of start to see the dunes. And then I've paired it next to this little painting of a horse that I found on the side of a flea market in Paris for $5 in an envelope, and brought it back and framed it. So it's fun, kind of the mix of all of it together. I wanted this room to be a really cozy by the fireplace kind of spot. Like I said, it's the first thing that you see right when you walk in the door. And so I wanted it to feel very inviting, but also a great conversation spot for 2 people or 6. It's really our kind of winter spot to come sit by the fire here, and we'll have a picnic on the floor on a particularly cold day and make soup for the kids. They think that's so much fun to sit by the fire and have a picnic. And or we can play a game, and you know, I might move the coffee table out and put a card table in front and pull up 4 chairs. So kind of just whatever the need is for the time, we can move things around accordingly. I have loved interior design probably since high school. I had a mentor growing up in Houston who, she lived in a tiny house with her and her young family, and it was so small and immaculate. It was so cozy and very inviting, and we spent a lot of time there, and she was a really, really great inspiration to me. She worked with her mom, and the 2 of them were interior designers together, and it was then that I said, this is what I wanted to do. Now we're in the dining room. In the construction, we wanted to lift the spaces up as much as possible, but we were restrained by the existing window heights. And so one of the things that we did, we were able to gain a foot downstairs, but we added these transoms to add more light into each space and to give some architectural interest. One of the things that I really didn't care for in the original house was it really lacked any architectural design. And so one of the things that we did was, like I said, adding the transoms. And then another thing that we did both in here and in the formal living room was we did a high gloss ceiling. And so it really is reflective and adds to the space. And again, kind of trying to lift the light up and try to create a larger space than maybe what is here. We added this really, really narrow console table because this is kind of this is the thoroughfare from the front space to the dining room into the back, but it just felt a little void having nothing here. And this was the perfect piece that only took up 12 inches, and we can serve off of it as well. And then we, added some lamp, which provides some really great evening light, and then hung the additional art and mirror overhead. The wallpaper in this room is by Caitlin McLaughlin, who I love all of her work, and we use her papers and textiles often. I really wanted something colorful and fresh in here, and it took me a really long time to figure out what the right thing was, and she came out with this kind of tree of life paper, and I thought this was just perfect for the space. I love all the different colors that it has and all the different colors that you can bring out of it. This photograph here is by Nook, who I love her work, and I love the juxtaposition of bringing the black and white photography into this really colorful space. And this was one that we thought this piece was a really neat one that has the dogs trailing behind the cowboy going into the brush. And then over into here, we added this bay window in the construction just to give a little bit more square footage into the space and to be able to kind of shift the room over. And that really helped to be able to move the dining table over. What you don't realize walking in here is that the light fixture is actually off-centered in the room. We've kind of created this optical illusion so that you can shift over into the bay and have the walkway. Our table has 2 additional leaves, so it can get much larger, and we can really easily seat 12 people in this space that's otherwise really not that big. It's an antique Indian bone mirror that I found at an antique shop here, and I love the colors. And I remember a sweet lady when I first started working, we were talking about antique mirror and how you really can't see in them, and they're really not necessarily as useful as a mirror made today, but that they're really just more for looks. It's aesthetically pleasing. And I told her, I was 22 and didn't know anything, and I told her that I really did not care for antique mirror, and I really was not very interested in it. And she just very politely paused and said, "You will." And I was like, oh, I'm sure she's right. And then here we are. This is one of my very favorite pieces, my very favorite mirrors. And you can't even hardly see your face to put your lipstick on in it. And I love it anyway. Here we are in the bar and china cabinet space. This is one of my favorite spaces in the house. This originally was the washer and dryer to the left and the breakfast table to the right, and it is only 48 inches long and is so efficient. It stores so much. We have an under-counter wine fridge here and sink, and I love to do a sink in a bar area that you can then use the sink as your wine chiller at a party. And so we'll fill this with ice and put wine bottles or waters in here. And then you don't have an additional wine bucket sitting on your counter, sweating, making a mess, and taking up valuable square footage. And then here we have all of our glasses, which I love to collect. And I'm always adding to different things. I got these last summer with my daughter in Paris, so that was like a fun little thing for us to find together. And these are my grandmother's coupe glasses. That was really fun to get from her. And I'm always adding and collecting. These are a fun little sunflower collection that make for a great, lemonade or cocktail or an iced tea. You can kind of go lots of different ways with these. I have a set of 15 of these very simple CB2 pink glasses that you wouldn't believe tend to go with so many things. And then going up here, we have some Murano glasses. That is a really fun set of 6 that you can pull out lots of different colors to go with. These actually are some of my very favorites, and I only have 3 of them, but I love all of the colors and the way that they move with the light and all the different things, linens you could pair with those. If anybody has anymore. I would love more of those. So being here in Texas, we, everybody always has Topo Chico on hand, and I like having it set out in a bar, and we often put it in our clients' houses and bars, and it's just carbonated water from Mexico, and you can drink it by itself, over ice, put lime with it, mix it with grapefruit juice, make a cocktail. The options are endless, but I just think that it looks nice sitting out and looks like you're ready to go to offer someone something any time of day. So coming in here, we have some dishes that I have collected over the years from Italy that is really fun because it's all different animals, and every time we go, we add a little bit to the collection, and then we kind of can mix and match it with other pieces. I've got these fun fish-shaped dishes that look really cute paired with the animals. And then we've got, chips and dip bowls here and salad bowls. This is actually part of their new collection that someone brought back for me this year, and I'm hoping to go find some more of it on our trip. And my kids think it's all really fun. What animal is in your pasta? Did you get the frog or the donkey or the horse? They think it's all good times. And then we have more formal china. We have our tobacco leaf by Mataheta. And then different Janori pieces that I like to mix all of the different colors here. And I'm always adding to the tablescape and kind of the different ideas of what all you can pair together. And then up above, I have just a set of plain dishes that are always good to have on hand at any given moment if you have more people over or just need a sliced cake for 20 or something simple like that. Wine bucket, and then up higher where you can't see every day, I have Christmas. And so then at Christmas time, I'll pull that down and move other things up so you can see it all different times of year. So here we have the kitchen, which is kind of a galley style pass through, and we needed to make this as efficient as possible and really kind of create a kitchen family room experience. They talk to and look at each other, and this is obviously, like any other house where we are all the time, where we stand and do everything. This is my very favorite oven from LaConch that I refer to as my fourth child, and we actually had bought the oven and had it here before we even drew plans to remodel the house. And so where it was going to go and the size of it and everything was integral in figuring out the kitchen layout. It started here. And then we filled the walls with white subway tile all the way to the ceiling, again, to kind of try to move the eye up. And we kept this door. This was the one cute architectural element of the original house that we kept. And it was the back door, and we cut it and made it into a Dutch door, which is so much fun for my kids. And this is where we like to serve to them when they're sitting outside and they like us to call their number up and we tell them their plate is ready. We wanted to be able to have some kind of a small table in here, even though eating outside in the dining room is really primarily where we eat, but we were able to add this little nook here of a table, which is great for a bowl of cereal in the morning. And I really wanted to be able to have proper cookbook storage. And so we added these shelves here. I love to cook. My husband and I love to cook together. We love to collect cookbooks, around the world. I'm actually in a French cookbook club here in Dallas, which is so much fun and has been a really great source of knowledge over the years. And so I have my French cookbooks here in the center, and then my kids have kind of added in all their fun little Lego creations and things that they don't want destroyed. My daughter made this cute little paper mache box of chocolates, which is really fun, kind of displayed in a kitchen bookshelf. I thought that was really cute, a proper kind of spot for it. And so this is, where we hang out. Walking over to the family room side, which obviously this is all one room that speaks to each other, and I really wanted it to feel inviting and warm but still full of color and not too precious that children couldn't be here, because this is where we are all day, every day, kind of in these spaces. And we have our collection of photos and little trinkets that they're always adding to and rearranging over here from this antique Welsh dresser. And I'm always kind of, playing with these shelves. Are actually very short and they don't hold very much. And I am always, hesitant of, worrying about what can we fill in those spaces. And then my kids have just kind of done it for me, and they've added all of their things. And this is kind of always an evolving spot here. One thing that I really wanted to achieve in our construction was getting a lot of light in this space and really making the outdoors speak to the inside. We will, in any given evening, have these doors wide open and everybody's running in and out. And then, we've got music playing and TV going and dinner being made. And this is kind of the main hub of the house. And another thing with that is I really wanted the playroom to be off of the kitchen. This is really kind of where my kids are all afternoon and evening. And, we're making dinner or we're outside and they're playing here or running outside. It kind of gives all of their spaces open to them at all times of the day. And I've got their artwork hung all over the walls, and we've got our little Harry Potter closet under here, which goes to underneath the stairs. They think that's really fun to go under here and go underneath the stairs. Here we are in the powder bath, and this was something that we did not have in the first model of the house or even in our previous house, a true dedicated powder bath. So this was very exciting to get here. And I worked with Adelphi wallpapers on this paper and gave them Ferro Ball paint colors that they created this colorway, which was really, really fun for this space. I've always loved this pattern and really love how the colors came out. And then we did this really fun plaster molding around the ceiling with the same company who did the fireplace in the front room. And then hung this really pretty pale pink mirror by Fleur Home, my friend Natalie in New Orleans. And this is just kind of came out exactly how I hoped it would. And we really love to use the space. Now we're upstairs on the second floor, and this is our bedroom. And this was obviously part of the addition. The whole upstairs was new construction. And in our previous house, we had a vaulted ceiling. And so I really had loved that and wanted to recreate it again in this space. Something that we like to do, I don't do it in every room, but I kind of like the idea of one room of the house being all one pattern. And so in this room, we've used a single pattern on the wallpaper, the draperies, the headboard, and the desk skirt, all and kind of give you that envelope feel that you're wrapped in one single pattern. The bedding is from Leontine Linens in New Orleans and was actually part of my previous bedroom and pattern, and it worked perfectly with our new room, and so it was a great way to use something that we already had. I found these lampshades in London from Penny Morrison, and I love kind of the juxtaposition of the mashup of throwing in the hot pink with the blue that we already have and not making it all so one note, kind of mixing it up a little. And then over here we have, this is a Texas artist named Victoria Hagen who's done these pretty little oil paintings. And then we've paired it with our, up here I keep our magazines that we like to keep. We are big fans of the YOLO Journal and W. Brown. And so this is kind of my Saturday morning reading that I like to pick one up and go through it and sit in bed. And then over here we have a little chair in the corner mixed with an oil painting that I found in Paris at an antique show. Continuing upstairs, we have my kids' rooms. This is my son's room. This wallpaper and drapery fabric is actually the latest additions to my textile company. We named this wallpaper pattern Hecho en Tejas, and you can see all of the different little animal creatures in it. We have a horse and armadillo, a javelina family, and some armadillos and a windmill and bluebonnets and turkeys and Indian paintbrushes and big oak trees. And so this is kind of our nod to Texas. And then his drapery fabric is also part of our textile collection. that's called Fonte Italiano, and it's kind of an abstract camouflage in all different shades of blues, and we thought the two paired really well together. His room, actually, we had all of the artwork pieces before we had the wallpaper and fabrics figured out. This is an old school map that was originally on the roll that you think of, like pulling down a map from an old classroom, and we took it off the roll and framed it. This was a map of Texas here, and then a little Willie Nelson poster that my husband had when we were dating, and I thought that it would be cute to add to a boy's room. And so we actually had all of this all together before we ever did anything else in the room. So it's kind of a work backwards scenario, and then the rest just came to be. Now we're headed to my daughter's room, but we'll stop at their bathroom on the way. It was really tricky to create a Jack and Jill space that was not too boy or too girl, and I still wanted it to be really fun. So what we did was we have totally neutral tiles. It's really just a white palette and a very little amount of kind of crazy animal portrait wallpaper. And it's really fun. There's all kinds of little quirks in the paper. Like this cat has her little jar that says cookie safe, and we've got the dogs on the horses over here, and there's another one that's going to jail. And so it's just kind of a fun, really whimsical. This is a New York artist named Carly Beck, and it's just kind of a really fun way to make a boy and girl bathroom and still be youthful and kind of not take it too seriously. And if they ever want to change it, it's just a couple of rolls of wallpaper and the tile is already there, ready to go in a very neutral way. This is my girls' room here, and we have a pair of twin beds that I originally had in our old house, these headboards that were made into a day bed, and we split them apart and made them into a pair of twin beds. And then they have a little staircase over here going upstairs to a little loft that has another queen size bed up there, so we can really sleep a lot of people here, and there's a lot of space. And then we have a little reading nook under the stairs here, and it's just a really fun room. This is a Danish artist named Gitte Brandt, and she does all of these animals and on all this really kind of whimsical, fun way. And we had selected the elephant with the Indian parasol, and then she writes a saying in French on the bottom. And so in French, this reads, "Lottie, dance with me," which is really fun with the elephant, and just kind of a really cute, playful thing for a room. In this space, a lot of times people will ask, why do you really want to kind of take it this far in a children's space, or what if they mess it up, or what if they outgrow it? And I really kind of believe that if you give your kids beautiful rooms, that they will hopefully maybe love beautiful things and will take good care of it. My girls are harder on their friends taking care of their spaces than they are on each other, because they really like their room and they really want it to, kind of stay this way. But I also think that you have to not take yourself too seriously. And we have the conversation a lot of times with clients of, this is not going to be the last decision you're ever going to make. And I think that people think wallpaper is so committal and is so forever feeling. And it's not, and it's okay if you change it in 10 years or, 20 years. You had a really great time enjoying it for those years. And so I just kind of say, don't take yourself too seriously, and to pick the things that you want to enjoy and that you want to live with and that bring you happiness. I would say that home is where you feel the most comfortable. It's where you feel the safest. It's where you feel warmth. It's where you want to return to, whether it's at the end of a work day or at the end of a trip or just a lunch. And it's where you feel most welcome.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.